This conference will now be recorded.
Very good. We'll begin with the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we welcome everybody to the August 21st Marion County Commission meeting. First item is public forum. We have a couple people.
Oh, no, they're gonna go over there. Okay.
You want me to go first?
Yes, that'd be
Okay.
great.
Very good.
Stand or sit?
Go ahead and
Sit.
sit and try to speak into the microphone
Absolutely.
for our online people. And
Okay.
give your name for the online.
Absolutely. My name is Colby Head. I'm here in behalf of the Marion County Quail Forever chapter.
Okay.
I am here to submit the youth deer hunting requests. We've gotten 3 applications from youth to hunt the old landfill at Pawnee and Pawnee and 160th, as well as the committee. Several members of the committee would like to request permission to do predator management out there, trapping and hunting. We have insurance, a certificate of liability insurance that we are covered on that property, so we wanted to just submit all of this paperwork.
Excellent. Commissioner Dahlke, you've probably had the most experience over
Yeah.
the years in dealing with this. Is this
Yes.
consistent, or do you have
Give us a
questions?
predator, would it be members, or would you go out and hire somebody, or?
It would just be, I've listed on the application, it would be Randall Jantz, myself, Zachary Haskins, and Kylie Oliphant, as well as our children. It would just be 5 of us members.
Okay, members.
So, yeah.
Yeah, not for gain or anything like
No,
that, just for?
no.
Okay.
Okay.
For gain.
Yeah, just,
clean up?
yeah, for the game, to help with upland birds.
Yeah, yeah, but not for to gain anything.
Right, not to gain.
Gain.
With gain with an N.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Make a motion to approve the permitting of the landfill for deer hunting and predator management.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Becker, second by Commissioner Gehring. Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0. Very good. Appreciate it.
Do I need to have some signatures, or how does that go?
Dana will help you.
Okay,
Take care of it.
so this is just everything that I brought in.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Are you the new one in charge, or?
No, Randy's still technically the president, technically.
Yeah.
So,
Who's doing most of the management out there then?
somewhat me, somewhat
Okay.
Randy.
Okay.
Yeah, Randy's been out there doing the mowing and cleaning
Okay.
up, so.
All right.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you guys.
Me?
Yep.
All righty then.
Do I need to just leave those, or? Absolutely.
Tom Britton, Florence, Kansas. I came here today to comment on windmill noise. Open the door, I hear thump, 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 thump all day. Varies with wind speed and direction, sometimes not too bad, other times hell. Then you get the flashing lights and noise all night long. My neighbor says it sounds like a baler bailing all the time. And now I have high blood pressure I've never had. I'm on medication, never been on medication. Neighbor's a vet. He has had high blood pressure since the windmill started turning. The VA told him to move. It's a blessing 8 a.m. Saturday, the windmills quit turning. It's once again peaceful, other than the eyesore. Marion County is the eyesore of the Flint Hills. I asked the county that the county stop the windmill September 9th when Susan Mayo has her Flint Hills Counterpoint annual event. The windmills would ruin the event. Another neighbor has a decibel meter, as I have. The readings are well above the 55 decibel threshold. She emailed noise complaints to the zoning director and was told to send the complaints to Counselor Brad James. Is that where we direct our noise complaints? Using the judicial system, my constitutional rights to speak were violated thanks to taxpayer money used to hire prosecutor Laura Bayar. It's a similar situation as the Marion County Record is experiencing. This has been a political attack on me. Thank you for your time.
Okay, anyone else in the room like to make comments?
Can I go ahead and get your
Oh, let's see your
signature on?
signature.
So at the
Here,
bottom of
please.
these 3 cards and then on that. Okay.
There's, Chairman,
Yep.
there is one mic unmuted.
Okay, let me finish signing and then I'll get to it.
I don't know that means anything, but it's unmuted.
Okay, those of you online, as you can see in the instructions, if you would like to make comments, please type your name and address in the comments as directed in the instructions.
I don't have any comments typed there.
Okay. If there's no public comments, then we'll move into agenda approval. I know we will be having at least one executive session on contract negotiations.
I do need to have an executive session for personnel.
Okay.
And one is for, actually 2 of them probably, one's for performance and one's for hiring.
Okay. Okay, and then, once the counselor gets here, we'll see if we have any others. Any other additions or changes to the agenda? The agenda stands approved, and we'll move into administrative.
Okay.
Get these cards.
Okay. Sorry.
All right, got it.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. And if you wanna just meet in here, I will
Absolutely.
get the copies made we need,
Okay.
and then they can get these to you.
One that's in charge of our open meetings is out of the room, so I figured I'd stay occupied.
Sorry about that. That,
Yep, we got it, got the business taken care of.
yes, okay.
Next.
So I have the minutes from last meeting.
Okay, any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, is there a
Motion to approve.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Gary to approve the minutes, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0, minutes are approved.
I have a few salary sheets here.
At the sheriff's office and jail, new corrections officer, Chris Schmidt, $18.36 an hour, effective 8/14/2023. The sheriff's office in the jail, change from part-time to full-time corrections officer, Dakota Bruckner, $18.91 an hour, effective 8/15/2023. Sheriff's Office in the jail, change from full-time to part-time corrections officer. Bryant Edwards, $18.91 an hour, effective 8/14/2023. And in the county appraiser's office, change from administrative specialist 1 to GIS technician 1, Shelby Schroeder, $2,834 to $3,026 per month, effective 8/21/23.
The computer might make noise, I'm just warning you.
Turn your hearing aid back.
I turned it down before I wouldn't be able to hear you.
That's right. Just smile and nod.
I don't recommend that.
Especially if we don't.
Oh, goodness. I've got a couple of road crossing permits.
Oh, boy.
I have a pretty big packet here.
Wow.
There's only 2 of them though.
2, yes.
So, not quite sure how to do the. I guess I should.
Just usually read the permit number.
Okay.
And then where it's located.
Okay. This will be permit number 2023-19. Oh, now I understand. McPherson Rural Water District number 1 for water system improvements, water line and board road crossings. So basically the northwest corner of the county. I would move for approval of permit 2023-19.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Becker. Questions or discussion?
That says 2319, right, not 22.
It says 23.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. I
You're
thought
correct.
my brain heard 22,
It's
so
2023-19.
thank you.
That is correct.
You did have a birthday here, Ross?
I did. It's all going to heck now, I'm telling you.
Keep them above the belt. Keep them above the belt.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. I'm gonna pass around the packet because it shows all of the improvements that are being done out there. Change orders, maybe. Okay, and this is permit 2023-20, McPherson County Rural Water District, again for water system improvements, water line and board road crossings, northwest corner of the county.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Probably just different portions.
Good split.
Not every time they cross, they have to have one.
And then there's the water tower.
Your backyard, so.
I'll never see that corner.
You want this? It's way up in the corner.
Yeah, it is.
It's located in the corner, about a mile and a half north of 330. And,
That's good.
is that 2 in trade? No.
It's on Alamo, so,
Yeah.
right,
Wow.
1 mile in.
Yeah.
Separate townships.
Okay. Thank you for catching that.
Which township?
Yeah, it's
Logan.
18 and
Logan
17.
should be.
Yeah, so 2 different townships. Or, not townships, but tracks,
I see.
Yes.
Or
Okay.
sections. One was 18 and one was 17, that's
Yeah, then the 3rd mile down.
In your packet, you have the document, the agreement between owner and architect, between Marion County and Alloy Architect for approval.
Okay. Any questions on review?
After we sign this, is there gonna be a meeting?
Yes, they're scheduled next week to come to the full board.
Okay.
and then,
Good enough.
then you can split off into your working
Okay.
group.
Good enough, that's all.
He
I-
wasn't available today.
Okay.
Other questions?
Don't know if architects ever have a bond rating. If we could see one, if they're able to get one. But that has no bearing on whether or not I approve, but.
Okay. But it'd be a question.
Just bring
when
one next week, you mean?
Yeah.
A bond rating for the
Yeah.
architect?
Yeah, so all your general contractors and your subcontractors have to usually have a bond rating for projects. I'm just curious if they have one and what it is.
What?
So I've that question next week.
But I'd make a motion to approve the AIA document, agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Garing, and a second from Commissioner Dalkey to approve the document and sign. Any other discussion or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
It's on the left there, where it says owner.
I think it's actually a bonding percentile, but.
We'll find out next week. Good question.
Yeah. I was hoping maybe hit the nose and bring it with them. Yeah, that way they're not stumbling trying to find information.
I do have two other items for discussion, but we can add them on later if you would like to move forward.
Okay, why don't
And
we-
then we have the resolution for the text amendments for the planning and
Okay,
zoning, so.
why don't we finish up administrative at the end of the meeting?
Okay.
That way we can visit with Keita on a, what I understand, successful tax sale. If you could come up to the microphone, please. Now, Susan, if maybe you want to pull a chair up next to the microphone also?
Sure.
That's why we have teamwork.
Absolutely.
Chair.
Well, again, thank you. We've heard good things. I know several of the commissioners were there. And,
Yeah, I think everything went smoothly. We didn't have any problems. We balanced, which is always nice.
That's always good.
Yes.
Waiting on a little money at the end, that's all.
I did go ahead and put together the spreadsheet, which basically shows the amounts bid, how much went to pay the cost of the sale, and then how much goes to pay the taxes, the specials, and the interest. So it's all divided out there. And one unusual thing was, we only had one overreach. Usually there's several that bid over, and then we have to refund it to the owner of record. And there was only one, and it was only for $165. And the owner's been deceased quite a while, so it's unlikely they're going to try to claim that, because it would be divided among their heirs, which I think, when we were doing our research, came up to about 40 different people. You know.
So you turn that into the Kansas deal where they unclaimed property?
Yeah, the clerk of the court is required to hold it for 1 year, and if not claimed or any other order of the court within that 1 year, then pursuant to the statute, she sends it up to the Kansas unclaimed properties.
Can the executor of the estate claim that?
It was never probated.
Oh.
That's why we have so many heirs, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we run into that quite a bit, where if it's not probated, then it still belongs to somebody that may have died 50 years ago. And they could come in and do a determination of descent, but for this amount,
Yeah.
it's not going to be worth it. So,
The rest of them's a loss.
yes. So we did, we sold every property, which was really good. And a lot of them went to neighbors, which we were happy with, because we do contact all the neighbors and let them know so that we don't have that little strip out there that nobody wants, and then somebody that doesn't know what they're doing might buy it, and then 5 years from now, it's gonna be back in the tax sale. So hopefully with them going to the neighbors, I mean, that's the whole intent. You didn't collect all the taxes, of course, and that's not ever going to happen in a tax sale. But the intent is to get it back on the tax roll in the hands of somebody that does pay their taxes. And so I think we accomplished that.
Yes, I think so too.
So are there any questions?
It did pay all the sales fees, it covered all of that, and then some went back into the
Right.
tax fund.
The total amount of expense was $31,048.80, and the sale plus all the redemptions brought in $66,805. So it covered it, and what's left went to pay taxes, interest,
Very
and
good.
specials.
31,000 was the abstracts and,
The 31,000 was the abstract fee, the notice, publication notices. We have to do that twice, notice of sale, notice of suit. There has to be a guardian ad litem appointed, so it went to pay him, and then our fee, and then district court filing fee of $195 goes
So
back to district.
that's all pre-covered then, because
Right,
everything's going through district court now, right? Like,
so we came out 30,000 ahead.
Well,
Do we
Susan's paid.
have all the invoices from the newspaper?
No,
Okay,
we do not have the invoices for June yet.
okay,
But
so they're,
we assume that it's gonna be the same amount as the previous run, and so I've sent that to her with an asterisk.
Oh,
saying-
the estimate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a proof for that, and on the proof, they had put this amount, and it was the same.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it'll still be the same.
I
once you
assume
get
that
it.
as well.
Yeah.
Very good. Other questions?
I know somebody had asked, I think you told me that why we can't prorate the
Yeah.
current year, the
Taxes, yeah.
2023s.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so, even though it didn't sell, basically the way taxes is work is what you own on January 1 of the year is what you're taxed on. If we go through a foreclosure process, we're getting a judgment only on anything that has become a lien on the property. The taxes become a lien November 1 of each year. So the 2023s were not a lien, and actually they aren't even set yet, so we don't know what they are. So they weren't a lien, so they're not included in the judgment. So if we did prorate it, we'd be right back where we were, because let's say, Susan bought a property and she only wants to pay it from August 10th forward, it's gonna stay in that person's name that we just foreclosed on, but the tax runs with the property. So she's gonna owe that regardless.
For 23.
For 23, in order to keep her property free of any liens. And if she didn't pay it, we'd be right back where we are again in 5 years. So, that's the reason we collect them. Well, we make sure that they're aware, hey, this is going to be a lien on your property, you're responsible to pay it. And I've never had any, problems with people paying that.
But there's a lot of unhappy people. I mean.
Is there?
Yeah, from every tax sale that I've been to, and I've been to a lot of them
Uh-huh.
over the last 4 or 5 we've had, nobody wants to pay what they don't owe.
It's just to the
You know,
law.
from,
I guess.
But you do, even if you buy it, if I went and bought some property from
Right.
Susan and she hadn't paid the taxes.
correct,
it'd be on
somebody
me.
has to pay that, I
Right,
understand
yeah,
that.
it goes with the land, it's not ever
So,
against the person.
what if county commission made a motion for that year up to waive the taxes from January to sale date?
There's no law that allows you to do that, in fact,
Okay,
there's a law
just
that
thought of that.
prohibits you from doing that.
exploring all the
Yeah.
options?
Yeah, no, that makes sense, but if you don't have, you have an order from the court that's allowing her to abate all the older years. There's no order of the court allowing you to abate half of 2023. And if you did, you'd be in violation of 79-1703, which says county commission or any county official cannot abate in a tax. And when you're usually abating them, you have an order from the Board of Tax Appeals, you know, or something giving you that authority. So you
Okay.
wouldn't have any authority.
I've asked all the questions I can
Okay.
ask.
I learned something today.
Well, yeah, I mean.
You went at it from 4 different
it's-
angles, it didn't work.
It's a small thing.
That's good, though.
But
I
I
mean, it's
say,
true.
I asked somebody when was ever gonna update,
Right.
you know, the representative sitting here the
Right.
other day, asking, when are we gonna update some of this stuff to move along? And this could be updated, but it's not, so we'll
Right.
live by the ancient way and the ancient rules. And so, that's just the way it is.
Sometimes that's better than them making a new rule.
Well, it could be at that too, I'm not gonna deny that, it's just funny that, you know, because like I said, I bought some property in December, the last sale, got my title in December, and I paid that whole year on that property, so.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, it could be changed, but it'd have to be through the legislature.
Yes,
Yeah,
correct,
and
that's who I was talking about,
takes
there was
a
a
while.
there was a
Yeah.
representative sitting here, and I asked him to do some of the stuff,
Yeah.
instead of just leaving it on the books
Right.
like they do, and I know that would take a lot of time.
They could have a deal on the land, cut the land cheap.
Yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
being an update on that.
You're welcome,
You know,
yeah.
I appreciate
Yeah,
doing that too, and saying, like, the taxes, anything that will start paying, the sale will start paying for any of those taxes, will they be back to that property, back to that, or just back to Marion County?
So.
That you've stated in.
Oh, so the taxes come back and they're proportioned.
Okay,
So, I mean, what we did is we figured how much we needed to take out of the sale, and then we get a factor that we take it times. So, like, the first one here sold for more, it sold for $47.50. So its share of expenses is higher because it's taking times that factor. So they each pay their share of the expenses, and then what's left is prorated to the, depending, I mean, if you have $100 in tax and $50 in special, and you had 150, well, let's say you only had 125, the one's gonna pay 2/3, it'll pay 2/3 of the tax and 1/3. So it's all prorated out, so each individual property that's sold gets that amount, which is sometimes,
It's a bookkeeping thing, it all has to
it
balance out.
has to all balance in the end. And let's see, if one of them had sold for 5,000 more, unfortunately, we can't take that 5,000 and apply it to the other taxes too. It has to go back to the owner of record. And
Right,
that just
if-
goes back to,
yeah.
yeah.
if it went over
due
what that was
process.
due owed.
Right,
You
yeah.
pay for the sale, you pay for all of that, and if any money left, then it goes back. You have no
Right.
problem with that.
And then are those taxes distributable then, like, they don't just come to the county, are they distributed out as
They're
delinquent taxes?
distributed out, so the interest, of course, always goes to the county, interest and fees. But the specials, their portion of it will go to the city that, you know, assess those specials.
That's the question. Good,
Yeah.
good.
It's just making sure everybody gets something back for
The 50 cents.
the losses.
Well, and that's what it's designed for, we're trying to collect it for them, what we're trying to do.
Did,
Right.
you got a breakout for what the sale costs? So, or I can just write it down if you read it.
Okay, well, security first title was 10,500. The Marion County record, the notice of suit was 2,426.90. The Marion County record notice of sale was 2,426.90. The guardian ad litem fee was 500. The R fee was 15,000 even. And then the district court filing fee is 195. And that all comes to the 31,048.80.
Good information.
Good investment.
Yeah.
So the titling was 10.5.
Correct.
The record got 24, 26, and 24, 26.
4,852, 5380.
And then the 500 was what?
500 is for the guardian ad litem, that's the attorney that the court appoints.
Okay.
And his goal, or his charge is to represent any unknown people out there. So if there are any unknown people in the military service, or if there are any unknown heirs, and if there was a spouse out there that may have had a marital interest at some point, but we don't know who she is, she's technically an unknown. So he just basically has to file an answer protecting those people. And then the court sets the fee to pay him.
Good questions. Anything else?
Is those copy one for us too? Or?
I brought enough if you'd
Okay.
like them, yes.
That'd be great. I've got to ask so many questions, and I'm like,
Let me get back to
let
you.
me ask some questions.
One for Tina too.
Thank you.
One for Tina, okay.
I think there's no.
Good.
Well, while they're passing those around, I just want to say thank you. I think you have done an outstanding job of helping Susan organize, advertise, the process.
Well, we can't do it without Susan.
Right, right. That's why I said team.
She's very good at responding quickly and
Right.
answering our questions.
And several of your points were about getting the local adjoining landowners to be a part of that, and I think that's very critical.
I've just glanced at this right off the get-go, and that's the first one we've seen
Really?
since I've been commissioner. Detailed like this.
I didn't know so much accounting went into it.
Well, that's it.
Well, it's
just
transparent.
It's nice to see that we can look at this
Yep.
and see where it went, what it did.
Yeah, it helps me.
It
That's
answers
what
your
makes
question.
Susan's job easy.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to educate, because most taxpayers don't really realize how many hoops there are to jump through to have a tax sale.
There are.
They'll say, they'll
Change
say,
that one.
why is it taking you 2 years to have a tax sale?
And they do get a little upset because it takes so long, but there's a thing called due process. And we do have to notify
Yes.
anybody before we can just take their property.
Right.
And that's what takes the
Yes.
length of time, the most of it. And then there are certain statutory timeframes that are built into the process that we have to honor as well.
And I appreciate her expertise too, because, who has time to do that? I wouldn't have time to do that, and so it's, nice to have someone who's, this is what you do, and you do it well, and, yeah, it's,
So when do we do our next tax sale?
Well, funny you should ask. I'd like to get
I'm trying to
started.
help you.
I'd like to get started pretty soon, if we could.
I mean, you do them every year, every 2 years.
Well, technically, because we didn't get this one as early as we should have, but you can get them September, second Tuesday in September is when the county bids them in. And so when the redemption period has run, that's when we can do. So second Tuesday in September, we could technically sell the 18s and the 19s. This just included the 17s.
And I just did a quick little glance, and it looks like it's about 170 parcels for 18 and 19.
Okay,
So, and then as,
it's bigger than last year.
yeah, and as we go along, hopefully those numbers will start to
Right,
increase.
yeah, they, like Butler County have been doing them longest, and their sales have gotten pretty small because they realize the county's not going to just sit there and let them not pay taxes. And so they're a little quicker down there to get those taxes paid in a timely fashion.
Does it hurt if we don't start until December? Because the policy that the county passed said they were gonna do it every year, but the list would be provided in December, I believe.
Yeah, we can't
I
do
didn't
that.
bring that like with me, I didn't see, but.
I do remember December. December was the cutoff. So
Do you
I
have a
remember.
copy of that policy
I
in
do.
there? Okay, let's look at that.
Basically, it gives them right up to the end of the year.
And I think that the board was interested in maybe knowing what your fee might be if they go ahead and move forward with another one. I think they're ready to move forward, that they took action to move forward, but they wanted to know kind of
Right.
details on the fee and everything.
Well, last year, for this last one, I charged $250 a parcel. I really think I need to go to $275, and it's mainly because postage has gone up so much. When we serve people certified, we're spending $10 a pop just to send them a certified letter. And gas has gone up, everything has gone up. Yeah, everything has gone up, so $275 is what I'm gonna do.
You wanna, I'm not sure what I'm looking for, Tina.
Thank you.
Sure.
I did look at it, but I didn't bring it in here, and I don't remember where I put it now. I've just been kind of busy.
Inflation is
So-
11%, she's only willing to go up
18
10%.
to
I
19
think it's a
back
steal.
taxes.
And I factor in the results.
Yeah.
Because we're going
Those are
back-
phenomenal results and a
I
report.
thought we were moving it up, so it's short.
Reports are
The reason we do that, and that's kind of up to you guys, but the reason I suggest we do there's a 3-year redemption period for anything that's a homestead. And we don't go out, take pictures, or really know if anybody's living there until we get pretty far along through the sale. So we don't want to take the chance that we've included, you can go 2 years if it's vacant. And you can go 1 year if there's specials and there's a lot of little circumstances. But you could, some of them could be sold when they're 2 years delinquent. And it's not delinquent, it is the redemption period. So the redemption period does not start until they're bid in by the county, which is a whole year right there up front. And then you can start the process. So I always suggest it's easier to go 3 years on all of them instead of trying to second guess if it's somebody's homestead or not.
Because we used to be 5 years, I mean,
It kind of ends up 5 years by the time you've sold it.
Yeah.
Because you've got
So
the
we
year
did
up
move it.
front, then you have to count your 3 years, and then it's about a year-long process.
Okay, Tina?
All right, the information in the policy is Marion County will hold an annual tax foreclosure sale. So that's already in policy that we want to do it every year, that we will do it every year. And then it says the county only sells those properties for which delinquent taxes have not been paid for at least 2 years after the taxes became delinquent. Those properties published every September by the county treasurer as being delinquent are not necessarily available for purchase to the general public. A list of those subject to tax foreclosure sale will be prepared for processing on or after December 2 of each calendar year.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, will that work?
yeah, that works.
Okay.
It actually, yeah. kinda
And the
helps.
other part of this too is once we start sending letters, we can get payments.
Sure, yeah.
So
The
it
list-
won't be that many.
Right, right.
And because when the letters went out for the 2023 tax that haven't been paid, people got pretty excited. Because they didn't know if it was a tax sale or the 2020, they didn't know what was going on. But that's okay, and they called and we
They were
discussed the
confused.
That's
taxes.
right, pay your
and-
taxes and you ain't in it.
yeah.
Their attention's
Yeah,
somehow.
they're paying attention,
Yeah, that's,
so,
So, your $275 now is for when they determine that list to start the tax sale. That's what you're gonna get paid on. Not this
December
final,
2nd.
not this final 40 or whatever, 30 or whatever we sold this time.
Right, yeah,
It
it's
is, it
beginning.
is your beginning
And the
of the
reason-
sale.
Reason for that, I mean, some of those, we may send out one letter. Well, we've already done address searching to find the people.
Yep.
May send out one letter, it may be enough that they pay.
Right.
But the ones that go all the way to the tax sale have a lot more than an hour's worth
Yeah,
of
oh,
work in it.
yes,
You know,
correct,
so it
it's kind of an average.
washes out, yeah.
And is that number that we started with on this sale available?
We started with 61 properties, I believe. I think that's
61, you dropped it to 39.
Should have said it right there.
oh,
And the ones that would be able to.
60.
60.
Dropped 20, 21 off.
Now, you also told us that one sale, one property on there, one was something and then one was a
Bankruptcy.
bankruptcy. So how does that affect back taxes on a bankruptcy?
Bankruptcies do not get rid of real estate tax. They can personal property tax, but not real estate tax. but there is a stay on it, so as long as they're in bankruptcy, we can take no action, and you can take no action to try to foreclose or collect what they owe. As soon as the bankruptcy's over, they've been discharged, we can put them in the next tax sale.
We have to start over again, okay?
Right.
Not start them over.
Yeah, they
Well-
can file bankruptcy the day before, and they let us know, and we still have to remove them because of that federal law,
But
that
as-
it's a stay.
As soon as they come out of bankruptcy, they can go right back into the next sale.
Right. And they can't file bankruptcy again for a few years, so at that point, you should be
That's what I
able
was
to.
gonna say. That's what I was wondering.
I guess I would follow,
Count
start
up.
over. Well, you have to do the title work and all that again?
You should, because it's been a year or so,
Okay.
and title may have changed.
Okay.
Now, the
So
other
that
one
part
we,
you would have to start over.
other one we pulled out was in probate, and our title report had the wrong owner listed, and that's who we served. We couldn't go ahead with it, you know, because they had missed something along the way.
There is room for human error.
There is,
There
we
is,
all
yeah.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Other questions?
We need to take action on
Yes,
the
that's-
275?
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Garing to proceed with Kelly Law Office on the next tax sale following county policy.
We bid this the last time.
Yeah. And I figured.
Are we setting precedent, or what are we gonna do?
Well, typically, we'll put, what, 3 years on something? Like on our audits and certain things like that, we go for a 3-year period. And that,
I don't think that was addressed the last time we bid.
and the 10% isn't very far out of line, so.
I'm not saying it's out of line, but are we setting precedent by doing that? When that's
I'm gonna
when it's always been a bid process in the past.
Okay, I'll second Commissioner Garing's motion, and we continue discussion. I'm gonna support his motion because I think they did a lot of cleanup work for the first sale, and continue it at least, you know, for a year or two, because they put all the groundwork into place, done an excellent job, provided things which I understand haven't been provided.
I'm not questioning the job they did, I'm just questioning.
Yeah, so I would say it's
The
a lot
process,
easier to
the
keep the
precedent.
process going.
Well, and on historical information, you haven't bid the tax sale every single time. There have been times in the past where you have repeated with the same attorney without going for bid again, so.
Okay, so it's not precedent, so I'm good.
Not present. That's a good question.
We've got such good results with this, we ought to continue.
Other questions?
No, I would second what Tina just said, looking back over the years that I,
You used the county attorney to.
yeah, I would use county attorney and staff, and, you know, that was not part of their job, and they got paid for it, so, yeah, I don't mind if we get to the point, but I would agree with what we haven't done in the past, and like I said, the work here tells me something, it shows me something, so, yeah, I'm sort of ready in favor of it too, even though it may not be, we need to get back whether we're gonna do that or not, to what Kim said.
Okay, other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for
Yeah.
very successful. I know it was a lot of work getting through everything.
It is, but it's what we enjoy.
That's what she does.
Which
What you
what
signed
you
up
do.
Thank you.
Answered a lot of questions today. We appreciate that.
Anytime, yeah, I'm always happy to come. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Isaac.
He's always around the corner.
Yeah, 15 minutes behind schedule. Isaac,
Hey,
sorry to keep you inside out of the heat.
it's Brad. It's Brad here.
Uh,
15.
Well, he called me this morning, and I don't know if you guys have a preference or not. I guess that there's a couple of things he wanted to discuss with me, and he's asked me if either I could come back later or
What do you recommend?
Well, I just got a message that his office called and that he is not gonna be here today. He may try to log into the meeting online.
Okay, okay, cause he
Yeah.
called me this
But
morning.
I don't know what time he's planning to log on.
I don't know what exactly he had, he just asked me, to listen so I could come back or something, so. I'll just get started with what I have here.
Yeah, let's
And
do that.
we can go from there.
All right.
First thing I got, last Thursday, they, NF and Justin came out, they hydro-seeded, that project is finished. Everything,
They seeded already?
they did.
Thought they were gonna wait till it got moisture.
That was initially the plan, and the hydro-seed, I guess the company that did that was busy, so they just went ahead and did it.
What if it didn't come up?
Well, and that's what we,
They have any guarantees?
that's what we discussed.
I told them when I was out there, it's way too early to be doing that.
Well, and it's dry and it's hot.
Month
I know,
to 2 months yet.
and I know they knew it too. And so Brian's getting that final permit over to the state and should be finished off there.
Did we, find out what that cost, or what, did we have a cost on that part of the bid or anything?
We did, I can definitely get that.
Did they just put grass in?
Huh?
They just put grass, they didn't try to flower?
They just, no, they didn't, not now.
I made a suggestion, back in North Carolina, all the ditches are planted in flowers and wildflowers. They don't mow them or anything, it just looks so nice. I don't know if that would work in Kansas or not, but
No, you have to have some pretty good turf though to hold
we got good dirt down there.
My point would be
But
that.
I don't care what they plant, they just planted it way too early.
Yeah.
Buffalo grass.
That takes 2 years to get a stand.
Yeah, I know. But
If
is
it costs $2,000, do we withhold $2,000?
I don't know that it was broke out.
Well, that's.
It was.
It was?
It was.
Okay.
Exactly what that figure is, I
Okay.
don't have it with me.
It would be a
today.
number we could access.
Well, there's a guarantee that the 50% crop failure will come back and do it again.
So what percent?
50%? I'm sure something will come up.
Well, here's the situation again. We're dealing here with making sure things are done. Mr. Chairman, for another issue that you always discuss, and making sure that we do it. Not that I want to do it, but yet I think we need to do it. Yeah, or have some sort of agreement that, have another agreement.
Well, we should have had something in there that said hydro seeding to be completed prior to, not earlier than September 15th,
So,
October 1st.
Well, there's a seeding window, and
Well,
August is outside of the.
Yeah, and I know too, initially, the state, according to that permit, they had
Only had 2 weeks to do it.
yeah, once the project was completed, the
Oh.
specs, they had a 2-week window to get that done. That was,
Regardless of the.
well,
seeding.
they took it, they brought it up to the state about not wanting to do it there,
Right.
and the state gave them a pass. It sounded like their concerns, they did not know where they were going to be or what they were gonna be
Right.
doing come September or
Yeah.
October.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of, from my understanding, that was kind of the issue there, because that was their, I mean, they contacted the state, they talked to them about getting that 2-week window dropped for that exact purpose
Right.
of, it's not the best
Right.
time to do this.
Right.
But then it sounded like, I think they had some work out of state, and it's kind of one of those things, they said, if we're gonna do it, I mean, at least we can do it and we can get your guys' side of it done. But, I mean, and I discussed it with them too. I think everybody that was involved, Brian, everybody knew that it wasn't the ideal time to
Mhm.
lay that seed down. But at the same time, they just weren't sure where, I guess, they're gonna
Right.
be
Right.
September.
They had to fulfill their end of the contract,
And that,
what you're saying.
yeah, pretty much is what it came down to.
That changes.
So you're gonna have to hold water to it?
Well, We talked about that too, pumping it out of the lake, but we're about 5 foot low, and I don't think we wanna take any more water out of the lake than we're already
They get
losing.
people's
but-
attention, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
How much was it?
And that exact, for just the hydro seeding, see, I have it broken out, I just didn't bring that with me. But I can get that to you if you want me to, and I can even, if you guys would want me to, I can talk to Cody about it, cause like I said, I know we had the long discussion, and he knows just as well as everybody else that it was not the ideal time, it was
Just wondering how much, you know, if they were fulfilling their contract, and then we gotta address this next year. I mean, what are we talking? $5 grand? What are we talking? 2,500? Are we talking? I mean,
I think it's probably gonna be right in between, right around, and in between those two numbers right
Okay.
there.
I mean, we're gonna have to make it right.
Yeah.
And otherwise, we're gonna have runoff and erosion and problems, and I just wanna know what we're in for.
Yeah.
Uh, Whether they come back and help us out, or,
You gotta see us on
yeah,
or something.
something, I just wanna know what we're in for.
That's good.
You wanna put it on the agenda for next week?
Yes, come up with that number.
Yep, I can do that.
And then if you have any comment back from Brian. But it does help knowing, you've given us quite a few, there's more to it than just the one.
We had quite a long conversation.
Yeah,
about it.
okay.
Very good, I appreciate that.
But we need to know.
Yeah,
and
I
make
think
sure
up to
that
be
it
2
has-
weeks
yeah.
ago about it, you know. At least we talked about that.
And I know that their initial plan was not to do it until
They
later.
better wait till the middle of September.
Right.
They might get worse in Kansas that week. Somebody looked at this
Oh,
kid.
then the rain comes, the fog. All right, we've got that. Go next.
Yeah, so next, one of my employees, Adam, vacation time. So he was at 48 hours last week. They called and informed him 48 hours to get everything, 48 hours of vacation to get taken care of by today. I will say, since then, he has used 3 days, so he's got another 24 hours left, I believe. And so I just wanted to see if maybe I could get an extension on that, and I know talking to him, he said he'll use them as quickly as he can. Just kind
Takes a
of,
good week to do it.
well, and that's it, and it
Yeah.
kind of snuck up on me, along with him.
You can get them hammered out by the end of the week.
That's what we talked about, and that's it. I mean,
I'll make that motion, extend it to the end of the week.
okay.
Okay, we have a motion, Commissioner Garing. I think Tina has got the details of the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Commissioner Crowfoot. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carried 4-1. Commissioner Dalkey opposed.
Besides that, Bluegrass, we had the Bluegrass Festival here, August 4th and 5th. It went over really well. Cooled down just in time, it's like 95 degrees. We ended up selling about 600 wristbands, so it kind of gives us an idea. It's band members and kids. I'm guessing we were somewhere 650 or so people Friday and Saturday night.
That's great.
Didn't have any big issues. That windstorm came through Saturday night, kind of made things interesting, but nothing, no big trees fell, nothing got damaged, so that's good. Really went pretty smoothly and off without any major issues. The last thing I got, and I've been asked by a couple people to bring this to the commission's, I guess, plate, bring it up. So on the trailers, I've been asked if there would ever be, not short time, but in the future, if there would ever be a possibility of giving trailer owners an option to do a summertime, I guess, monthly stay, pay per month, instead of like the 3 days, 4 weeks limit on that. So the month would remain the same from March through November, but instead of having a 3 day a week restriction, bumping that up But then obviously with that would come a higher monthly rate or annual rate. And I've had a couple people ask me, because, I mean, to tell what's going on is a lot of them they snowbird, they go down to Texas or whatever for the winter, and then when they come back, they'll either have a camper and they're camping, they're jumping between camping and the lake and their trailer, or whatever the case is, so they can stay under the restrictions. And they've been, I mean, there's been a couple of them that have asked that would ever be a conversation that we could have. And I told them I would bring it up. I mean, we've never talked about doing anything like this, and I've never really looked at it, but I didn't know if.
Would you limit the number, like 10% of the spaces, something like that?
No, let's go through this and make sure we're on the same track here. What's our rule?
Okay, so right now the rule is the trailers are open from March 15th through November 15th. That is the season. Then November 15th, it's all shut down.
Okay.
Everything's shut down. During March 15th to November 15th, they are restricted to 3 days, 4 nights a week.
So they can only stay.
They're asking for cold weather rule, from more or less cold weather through the cold weather.
They're not asking for that.
No.
They want to keep the seasons the same, but during that, instead of staying the 3 nights, they want to be able to stay
3 months.
7 nights. Yeah, right. Stay on pretty much a full-time place, but only during these summer months, during the months the trailer park is active.
Okay.
They formulate how much
For 3
more
months.
they might be willing to pay.
Well, and that's it. I mean, realistically,
These are ones
I
on
would
the west end.
$500 a month. I mean,
No, these are the whole campground, the whole.
this is just this is trailers. Yeah, this was
Campground.
trailers, not for camping, but
Not for
just for the
camping.
trailers.
Just
yeah.
for the trailers. Okay, now you're
This-
looking at
you're
your cold
looking at-
weather, you're looking at your cold weather season. So now the next thing you
Could
have to
turn the
do,
gas on.
aren't they from March?
We're
Is
looking
that
at
what-
this, we're
The
looking at the
summer.
Oh,
yeah.
the summer, they're
Yeah.
wanting
They
more.
just don't wanna be restricted to only stay 4 nights at a time.
And
They'd
wanna
be
up
asking,
in their
yeah,
trailer.
because right now with that restriction, then comes the $100 or the $1,200 a year. So pretty much what they've been saying is if they're willing to pay, let's say $500 or $600 a month instead of $100 a month, would the county ever be open to allowing them to do that, but stay constantly throughout just the summer season, not year round,
Okay.
just through the summer season?
What would the summer season be?
It would be, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it would stay the March 15th through November 15th.
But they wouldn't have to move every 4 nights.
Clear to November.
But then with
I
that,
don't think about summer
Yeah.
being in November.
I know.
well, and that,
realistically,
yeah,
it's
fall
that's,
maybe,
yeah,
but
and that's
not-
just, I guess, that's like our open season for the trailers as of now.
It's been nice to go up to January, you can camp. I mean, the last 10 years,
What's the ripple effect that's gonna come from this though?
Well, and
I
that's,
mean, why was the rule just put in place to begin with? I mean, I ran into this in my own shop the other day.
Right.
I got a reason why I did something, and then when I changed it, I got reminded.
yeah, right. Well, and I mean, I know a big one is trying to make that a full-time residence. And I don't think that's ever anything that we would probably want to do.
so
This
who-
would be kind of an in-between between a full-time, because it would be like a full-time seasonal deal instead of a part-time. I know the concerns that would come up to me is right now, just the water, the electricity, and those expenses by doing this for the lake itself are gonna go up.
Right. What's the rules on like their air conditioner through the summer?
See, and so that's it.
Do they run it even when they're not there?
No. They can turn it on, so like if they wanna come up, it says 8 hours before they're present. If they wanna come up, let's say the night before and they're getting there in the morning, they can come up and turn it on, but if they're not there, the AC's off, the water's off, everything's off, so that would be a big difference.
3 days, 4 nights, that basically doubles your utility.
That's exactly right.
There you go.
And that would be the one big thing that I really notice that stands out would be your utility usage.
What about,
So how much are utilities per trailer?
Well, and that's $1 million.
I don't know if they had an average.
Well, and
You don't have that.
And with with the trailer park right now, it's broken off off into 8 different plots, but there's 54 trailers, so you can't really look at one trailer and
Can't
each.
divide by 54.
Correct, and the water with the trailers, there's absolutely no way to tell because we just have a set gallon usage for the entire park. So to even separate the trailers from the rest of the campgrounds or the lake hall or my office, there's really no way to figure out how much each trailer is using at this time anyways.
On our water improvement program that we did when we put some of that line over on the west side, did you put a meter box for every trailer or just a meter box set there for where the water would come to and then it took off from there?
Yeah, that's it, yep.
Put a meter on every one of those trailers, you'd be talking big bucks.
Yeah, there's that one that's down in our main pit, but that main pit also takes care of, pretty much everything over there on that.
So nobody else can come in on 5th and 6th night and stay. Somebody says they're 4 nights, it has to be empty.
They're done for the week, the way
And
that it
another
is.
family couldn't come in.
Correct.
They can't rent it out or nothing.
No, they cannot rent it out, that's part of the lease agreement. And I mean, like I said, this isn't something that they are saying, hey, we wanna do this right now. They were just asking, I mean, they've been kinda asking and
I'm surprised you haven't had more of that.
Now's the time to ask.
Yeah, well, and.
I think we need to consider it, but you set it at a rate that is covering all of your expenses plus future improvements.
Well, what else? Clutter, more
See,
time
and-
somebody spends
Yep,
time
yep,
there.
yep.
They start acquiring and cluttering and.
Well, and I know that's kind of been a big concern with I know when we talked
Not
about
enough
doing
room
that.
out there to clutter.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, it starts spilling over.
Yeah, when we talked about doing that for our campsites, I know that we had a conversation a while back about doing possible making a few campsites on a monthly basis. You could stay, you pay for the month instead of the 14-night max that we have now. And I know that was one of the concerns that was brought up about that. Obviously, the longer you're in one spot, the more stuff you accumulate and what you do with that stuff. I mean, we would just have to stay strict on it, when we're driving around and make sure people are keeping up their lots, if it was something that we were to do,
But
but.
you start getting the argument, well, you're charging me a premium.
Yeah, right,
And then
right,
you're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
hassle me.
yeah.
Because instead of 200 or 500 or whatever, so I'm paying the premium, I'm paying
Yeah.
and then.
If I'm paying the premium, I'm gonna keep cool.
Yeah.
So somebody could table to the end of September?
Well, I think what
about it.
Isaac was after is just gauging if there's any interest.
Well, and that's it, cause I
What I'm
can
hearing
shut
is
it down
there's
right here, right now.
interest, but need more information. And I'm not getting a hard set, let's not even open that door. Am I wrong in just,
Always,
I know there's concerns.
always willing to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Right.
And look at right now, when's the last time we raised the dues out there?
Well, bingo.
Isaac, you have time to talk to some people and see what they think maybe.
This meeting probably will stir the pot
Oh,
too,
yeah.
in other ways.
But I think gather some information.
Yep.
Think some more about the utility side of it.
Yeah.
The rest of the commissioners thinks of the pros and the cons. And in a month, maybe come back
Okay.
with that topic. Does that sound all right, Commissioner? And some of the commissioners that have contacts out there, maybe you can visit a few people. See what
I don't know what the permanent residents,
okay.
permanent residents might say, well, that's just gonna,
Well-
that's just, instead of just, the more traffic that we have on the holidays and stuff, it'll just be that way every day.
Well, and I know there's gonna be some trailer owners that aren't for it as well, and that's kind of the thing with any kind of decision like
Because
this.
they don't want to pay the price.
Yeah, and like it the way it is or whatever the case is, but.
Well,
I'm a little out of touch right now, Isaac, just give me your feelings. Most of the years that I've read meters there, it was the 50-ish up people, age-wise. Is it changed to where it's, how many younger kids are coming on a weekend now than what maybe 43 years ago or 4?
Camping wise or trailer owner wise?
trailer owner wise.
Trailer owner wise?
That's what we're talking about. trailer.
Yeah, I would say out of our 54 trailers, I would say, I think probably 6 trailer owners are
Under 10.
under 50.
Okay.
That doesn't tell you anything though, because they got a ton of
Grandkids, yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
well, and that-
that's true. I
that's
mean,
true, too.
That's true, and that's what I'm trying to, that's what you open this up, and you open it to a residence, and,
I know some 50 and 60-year-old people can pretty well party too.
well.
You know, that's,
At that age, you're liable to have more people out there than the younger ones.
yeah.
Isaac, would the improvement district be able to provide you any input with the sewer
Yes,
system?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so, and I can talk to them
Talk to
about
them
that,
about it,
yes,
yeah.
yep. I know I have just a tiny little bit to see if
Cost
it's.
of water and sewer.
Yeah, yeah, well, and that's it, and it's hard to sit, because that was my big question, is right now we have that set number of gallons as far as the water goes. And if you did something like that, I don't know how much that's gonna push that limit on us on a monthly
Right,
basis
yeah.
or what. And so, I would like to know that as well.
All right, we'll get some more information and we'll visit the topic again later.
Okay.
What else did you got?
The last thing I had is, so speaking of trailers, we had a trailer owner who's been out at the lake for a long, long time,
Mhm.
just recently passed. And they're gonna hold a ceremony for him on Saturday, September 23rd over in Hayesville. That I know Adam and myself would both like to attend. And so I just wanted to get maybe special permission to close the office down for a couple hours that day so we can go and attend that. Cause right now him and I are the only two that watch that, and I wanted to see if maybe we could give permission to close to go to that.
I'm good with that.
Any
That's
office-
a community out there
It's
and you're
on-
holding it
it's on a
together.
Wednesday.
It's on a Wednesday. Okay. Any opposition? Okay. Commission consensus to allow you and Adam to go.
Who we talking about?
Okay, anything else?
That was it for me, unless you guys had any questions.
I think that's enough for today.
Okay, I'll talk to Brad and maybe I can figure out what it was he wanted to discuss.
Okay.
Well, and if he
Maybe.
gets on, I guess I can call you and maybe you can get on remotely.
Okay, we can do that too.
Very good. Thank you,
Alright,
Isaac.
hey, thank you guys, have a good day. You too.
Nikki. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
At least you weren't sitting outside in the heat.
I know. The only thing that I have is I was approached by a high school teacher here in Marion, and she has a student who was interested in doing real estate. She talked to a real estate agent. They said, you know, they're not always in the office. So it'd be a little bit hard to do a work study under them. He suggested our office, and the student was interested in doing that. And then Tina suggested maybe like letting her kind of rotate through different offices that handle real estate. I think Tina and I agree on that. I did send an email to the other 2 offices, but haven't heard back from them. It would be from 2:20 to 3:05, I think, each day, except when they're on holiday break and the school's not in session. She does play sports, so she may not be here every day either, so.
This
What's
is
worse?
senior?
What's work study as far as, the pay scale, if you were to have?
There wouldn't be pay.
Oh, so it'd be an
It's just an
internship?
internship, basically. And
Yeah,
there was
for-
previous,
See, I got paid for my work study, so.
there was previous commission action, to allow this for county offices, but just that the board need to be kept informed
Okay.
of
I'm back,
any
I'll back the work
requests,
study,
so.
100%.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's a good
As
thing.
long as you're good with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Consensus to move forward.
Well, can find more. Find more.
Maybe we'll change our mind or the
Maybe they'll come
government side
back
of it.
and work for you.
Yeah.
Just document if there are any close to problems come up, so we know, so you can document to us, and tell us what happened.
Okay, I know that the teacher said that they have the paperwork and waivers and all that.
Yeah, I did mention we would need some sort of a liability waiver and
Absolutely.
We've had it
permission
before.
from the parents and all that.
Other questions?
Great.
It just makes more work for her because she has to find something to do every day for 30 minutes.
Oh, we can find something, I'm sure.
That's great.
Go out and measure a house.
Right? Just probably one in that time frame, but.
Can't.
Okay,
All right, that was it?
that was it.
Okay, well, thank you, Nikki.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Ah, she caught us back up.
I know.
Awesome.
Tina had it all planned out. All right, Darren and Steve, perfect timing. The two of you want to come up to the microphone? I know, everybody hates the microphone.
Not Darren.
Well, Steve's not excited about it.
No, but Darren's fine. No problem.
He's used to it. All right, well, thanks for coming in out of the heat. The topic we kind of wanted to hit on was we have a couple cost share projects out there. We want to make sure we keep our paperwork and the process going. Give us up to date on where we're at on those, if you could.
Well, as far as I know, I looked at a letter that was back then, it was approved by you guys, but it was a letter from KDOT. And they've already awarded the EBH the construction for the East End project from Lincolnville to Remington.
Bryce talked to me about it, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
but I just does the county need to take any further
Well,
action?
that's one thing I wanted to
Okay,
follow
that's
up
what
with,
it's
is
clearly here.
how
Right.
we want to proceed with that
Right.
one.
Right.
From what I understand, it was just the widening of the structures and the bridges
Mm-hmm.
and also the roads. I mean, not the roads, but the shoulders and
Shoulders.
stuff, just
Yep.
widen the road itself.
Right.
That's what my understanding was on that.
Okay, well, why don't we, let's tackle that project now, because actually I think that also included full depth reclamation.
Yeah, full depth reclamation, that's what
and
Bryce had told me.
2-inch asphalt.
Yeah, exactly, that's what Bryce had told me too, was full depth, basically like we did on Indigo.
Yes,
The middle section
yes,
of Indigo
yes,
was what Bryce had mentioned to me.
yes.
So what I wanted to talk about was, so when we did Indigo and Kansas, of course on Indigo, we didn't design it, we just did the construction inspection with Bryce. And then on Kansas, we both designed it and did the inspection. But on all of those so far, we haven't had like a formal contract with you guys. For your purposes, do we probably need that now? Now that there's not the Bryce
Yes.
position,
Yes.
I think both of us would probably feel a little bit better about that, just so it's, I mean, okay, I'm okay going either way, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to, like on Kansas, they ended up finishing at half the time. So if I would have sent you a contract way early on, it would have been much bigger than what I'm going to end up billing you, because they finished in half the time that we all thought they might possibly take. But just having that whole guideline set up of what the expectations are back and forth, I think would be a good idea.
Yes.
I will say now on the cost shares, that program's not set up so that any of the engineering, either design or inspection, is part of the reimbursement. It's all 100% on the local authority. Only the construction is reimbursable. So if you guys, if that's the way you would like to move forward on that, we've already started taking a look at 290th, and we've already, started doing some stuff, but I haven't, Bryce gave me some survey information. I think I might need to pull our guys in to do just a little bit more based on how we did Indigo, and also how we did 330th a number of years ago. It worked very well for our guys to come in and just use our mule, and we do a rolling survey of just center line. And that way when because we can give that data right to the reclamation guys, so that when they come through and do their trim, it's right back where it was, in case we might have to make a few little minor adjustments. That way, it's just a cleaner from design to construction. So I might have a little bit of cost there, a little bit we have to do compared to what Bryce has done. Most of what he had pre-planned out or pre-done had to do with the boxes, the widenings and that type of thing. So, which I don't remember how many there are. 3 maybe?
Yeah.
3 or 4, I think, that are gonna need to have work done on it, so. So that was my thing, is if that's the direction we all concur that we wanna head, by your next meeting, I'll have a contract for you guys from us, so we can keep that project rolling at night.
Okay, Commissioner Dawkins?
In that contract, would it say that there will be no roller coaster?
Oh, and that was on the,
So the-
Nighthawk.
Nighthawk.
And
Nighthawk
that
and
was,
stuff.
that was
Where
where
it used to-
you
it
weren't
used to-
involved with that.
But
Yeah.
but we like that.
You like that?
No, well, yeah, because you can't do it.
People from going to sleep.
Well,
Exactly, well, and you also, okay, so if anybody drives Kansas right now, I kind of messed up on that, but there's only a mile between stop signs.
Okay.
Because
It's pretty
you
finished.
could hit a high speed on Kansas right now
Okay.
and never feel it.
Yeah.
So if we build the roller coasters in, then, nobody's gonna drive fast. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding.
Yes, I understand.
No, well, okay, so actually, in all reality, and honesty, when we did Kansas, if, other than the fact that there was potholes and blowouts all over
Right,
the place.
right.
But we actually corrected about 3 of those little
Dips.
deviations, because it was very easy to correct some of those.
Well,
The
you-
bigger ones we didn't, but the minor ones we did.
But I just like what you just said, is that I've got a spec here that it's close to or supposed to be, and, because, I mean, before it was ever even halfway done, I mean, I was already getting lots of complaints about the, like
Not-
this.
And then it didn't matter, I thought it was a certain vehicle and a certain tire.
Yeah.
It is every vehicle I drive, it's
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so
Sounds
that,
like a
that
bumblebee.
part of what happened on Nighthawk, though, was it wasn't written up, and I'm kind of going back and looked at those, so we did, because in fact, I went back and looked at them before we did Indigo, because we wanted to make sure that we weren't seeing, so
Yeah.
even though we got asphalt over there, didn't we?
Yep.
So, it was actually, we didn't, or they didn't do a trim, they got them a trim to the low end of the foot pad on the sheep's foot. So what you had is even, it might have been an 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch worth of depression from the sheep's foot. And when you're just topping that with a chip seal,
Yeah.
you're never gonna work that out. Had that been topped with 2 inches asphalt, 3 inches asphalt, you never would have felt that. It just has, so if we were ever to do another, and we've seen Sedgwick County does this quite a few on some of their outer roads, they'll do that same full depth reclamation just with chip seals. But you'll also see when they go in and do that they go in there with like either a trimmer or a miller and hit that surface so that they end up with a flat, smooth, hard surface is what they start out with.
Well, I would think that this commission would not want to see that anymore.
Yeah.
So-
Absolutely
No,
Thought-
it-
thought
but-
that
If
I
you can,
can
if
second
somehow you can put that into words and put it into the contract for Randy, that'd be great.
Okay, so one thing is, if we do end up with a little bit of those when we're doing an asphalt overlay, it's not gonna be the issue that you saw on
Yeah.
the chip seal.
And I understand that.
But if we
Just-
were ever gonna do a chip seal again, yes, by far, we'd have in there, and we already in our standard specs have that trim process written in in our standard specs.
So on the project on 290th, on the east project, from what I understand, there's, on 290th, it's 3 different stages. One's gonna be the east, the west, and then the middle. The east side, we're gonna do a full depth reclamation, and then what are we gonna be capping the surface on?
2-inch asphalt, I believe. It was either 2 or 3.
I don't know, I don't have any kind of paperwork, this is the west one.
Oh, okay. Let me look back on the application, but I thought it was a 2-inch.
Okay, that's great.
I think that's what we were talking about.
Which we'll have to decide. I personally wish it was at least a 3, just because, that's what we did up on 330th. And when we go 3, what it does is it allows us to do it in 2 lifts. So the first lift, we can get it, it doesn't have to be drivably smooth, but you're filling in all the little,
Crevices.
yeah, anything that might be a little irregular. And then that top lift, okay, now we're getting it smooth. I mean, that makes it rideable. When we're doing it in 1 lift, sometimes you end up with those little, that I would,
They show back up.
yeah. So, not that we can't do a 2-inch or 2-inch lift into, it just makes it a lot more difficult, but we can probably try to do it. Basically, we just put down the lower lift ends up being hardly any big aggregate in it. You have a smaller aggregate and you just do like a 3/4 lift. It's almost a leveling lift.
Like a microsurface.
Yeah, almost like a microsurface, and you don't use,
Then
you
you
don't.
throw the asphalt on top.
Right, and then you use regular asphalt on top, an inch and a half. So it can be done. We'll take a look at that during the design phase. See what the best alternative is for both you guys and contractors.
That might not be a bad idea.
Okay, so to wrap up on the east portion, is that agreeable with the commission to proceed and have Darren bring back contract next week?
Oh, yeah. I don't think we should be operating without a contract, without an engineer, so.
Okay. I just wanna make sure.
I just think it's cleaner for both of us, and for Tina's purposes of audit trail forever, it's cleaner too.
For everybody. Very
Yeah.
good. All right, now let's move on to the next one then.
And then right now, we're in the process of I've talked with KDOT with a few items. We're gonna go out and advertise. Tina's been helping me with this as well as Vicki. But we're gonna go ahead and advertise for a CE for this project on the west side, which would be, let's see, it'd be 6 miles from K-15 to Nighthawk Road on 290th. And this here will be just the widening of the structure. And the turf and shoulders and structures and culverts. And then another project will restruct the roadway. One bridge is on this that has been submitted. And then also the asphalt work or the surface work of the road has not been proposed on this as well.
So this is just widening and.
Yes, this is just the widening part on it.
And my understanding was the high-risk rural roads would not pay for pavement. Only for, that's my understanding.
That's for
Just for the
structure.
safety issues of widening a road to
Yeah.
keep the structures and everything,
Yeah.
keep it safe.
Yeah, so we got more miles, and I think there were more structures.
So anyway, this is the one I'm working on right now to try to get a CE.
To get the bids for engineering firms, or the qualifications, yeah.
And then we haven't approached the middle one yet, it hasn't come up yet. They're-
So is this one gonna be a cost share application as well for the actual, for
Yes.
resurfacing? Or
That's
just
the-
the high-risk rural road program?
At this point, it's the high risk.
It's just a high risk to
Right.
get the structures widened and the shoulders on, okay?
The intent was, since that stretch fell under high-risk rural roads, we were gonna access
Do
that
that part.
program for that part.
And
of the
then come
project.
back after that
And then
and possibly
hopefully
do.
economic development.
Okay.
For the surfacing.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Trying to break them out to the appropriate programs to get as much cost share as we can.
Yes, okay. Makes sense.
Uh,
It plays it a little bit, I try to think ahead of time too,
Yes.
about how we have to bid them out later
Yes.
on. Depends on which type of funding we use too.
Yes.
But those fundings, we should be able to bid it out here locally, which will
Okay.
help our costs.
Okay.
That's all I have on that at this point. Unless Tina has anything you think of?
Then moving forward, the middle section, I guess the cost share program for KDOT is open now.
It's open right now, yes, it'll be open till September 21st
Right.
is when that application period is.
And we had applied in the spring and we were denied.
For the middle section?
For the middle section.
Okay. There's probably a couple reasons for that. Number one, you've got one that's active right now. That's probably the biggest factor.
Okay.
KDOT really likes to spread that money out as far and wide as they can.
Well, and the pots are about 10 million, and if you take, we get 10%, well.
Yeah, so, but I would also say, worst case scenario, take that exact same application, I'm assuming if Bryce turned it in, it's electronically here. If you want us to, we can, or somebody else, in-house, whatever, reapply for it again. The more we keep it on KDOT's radar, that yes, it's still a viable project for you guys, the better off that when it does actually become meaningful again, that they actually look at it.
And I guess that's my question, I want your opinion on that, whether we, keep applying.
Yes,
or sit-
most definitely. So,
I think you just keep applying till you get it.
yeah,
Okay.
Keep it
what
rolling.
we do with all the ones we help apply for,
Right.
as soon as they come out with the award list, I actually call KDOT up and Michelle Needham up there, and I go through every single project we helped apply for, and I find out, okay, why didn't this meet the funding line?
Right.
What kept this project from meeting the funding line?
Right.
I'll bet if I called her on this one, it would be twofold answer. Number one is because you got one that's active right now. So if you keep applying, they'll keep it, even if it looks like it might bump above the list, and they keep it below because of that factor, then as soon as you get done construction completion on the other one, that's when they'll most likely say, okay, yep.
Okay.
So-
Commissioner Dolan.
Would that be available for, we're sitting here with an interim advisor that if we hired you under contract to put that back in again for us, could you come up with a price for that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But my guess is though, if it was just done in the spring, the prices probably haven't changed enough to worry about adjusting the prices. And that's why I'm saying whether it was us that turned it in or somebody else that turns it in for you, there's probably not gonna need to be the need this fall for a price adjustment. Now, we usually look at them about once a year for pricing. The other thing though, most generally, we're seeing those applications have to hit KDOT 3 and almost a fourth time now before they get funded. It's kind of like the persistent people pay off.
It's happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, there's so many applications out there now that if KDOT sees that there's a one and done application, well then they know, okay, yeah, we really didn't need to fund that. But if people are applying for it a third and then a fourth time, they're like, okay, yeah. And it's a valuable project.
Yeah. Yeah. Tina, you had a comment?
My comment really for the board is just that if we're gonna keep applying for things right now during this time period, we need to not put anything else on Steve. So we need to hire someone to help us with that.
Yes.
If you want the application turned back in as it was, we will do that at no cost to you. Because there's no adjustment to it. All we're doing is, the application in this case is online and it takes about 10 minutes to do. It's not, as long as we can get a hold of all the files that were there before, that were turned in before,
Which on
assuming they were on.
additional.
I can come over sometime and we can go through the computer, but it's all electronically submitted, so it's
Yes.
gotta be on
There's a
Bryce's
copy.
computer, there's a copy of it somewhere.
Commissioner Gary?
What about additional applications? So Steve comes up and says, you know, is there any such thing as a, I don't want to sound silly here, but is there any such thing as a retainer for engineering?
Okay.
That's what I was leading to.
I'll tell you, in knowing the fact that, you know, in your previous life too, where we've worked with, we're currently working with Hillsborough, Marion, Peabody. We've worked with all of them, have current contracts with all of them. Once we get to a point where we are doing contracts with an entity on a fairly routine basis, when it comes to as minor and I consider these minor applications, we do those at no cost. Okay, that's just the way we operate. And I don't say we do that so that you just hand us the design work. I mean, we still want you to go through whatever process you have, but as long as we have a fair shot at it. Now, there's other ones that I would consider major applications. You know, there's some of them that take a lot more work to build it and put together. What we do on those cases elsewhere is we just, you don't necessarily have to be on a retainer, but we don't necessarily say there has to be a contract for that, because usually you're looking at maybe 5 to 8 hours worth of work. I mean, it's not a major thing. This cost share, if all the documentation's there from the last one, it's gonna take me an hour or two at the most to get it turned back in. And so it's not worth my time to bill you that $200 and some to do 2 hours worth of work. So.
I think from the commission's point of view, as long as we have a position that's open, our concern is we're gonna miss something.
Right. And there's so much at stake.
I think if you're getting all of Bryce's email traffic from the state,
Yes.
you're not gonna miss any of the high-risk road or any of the bridge type stuff, you know.
We just don't want to miss the deadline.
But
and then
when it
jeopardize.
comes to like EcoDevo within KDOT or, which by the way, EcoDevo doesn't have a deadline during the year now.
Okay.
It's,
Apply anytime.
you can apply 365 days a year on the EcoDevo. It's whenever you can put the information together. But the cost shares, I can come in and do a reminder on those. You know, some of these other programs that aren't normally get streamed through a normal county side, I can help do a reminder on those if you'd like.
The whole thing is hopefully to fill the position and let Steve manage what we have out there, not new stuff.
Right.
And take that weight off of him, because, and that's what we're trying
Yeah,
to do.
I'm feeling pretty heavy right now.
Well, back to the 290th project as a whole and the timeline, the cost share, the east portion would probably be next year, so 2020.
Well, the best thing to do, unless you tell me budget-wise, you got something else planned. Right now, our goal would be to have it out to bid late fall here.
Okay.
And so that we get the construction whenever best fit a contractor next spring to summer.
But construction, I'm trying to look back to our budget process and make sure we.
Well, that's, as long as you have your portion
Yep.
budgeted
Yep.
in for your FY 2024,
Right.
we'd be okay
Right,
with that.
right. The high-risk rural roads, my understanding of talking to Bryce was that's almost 2025.
I'm not sure on that one. It depends on which money KDOT set aside for it.
The job letting was set aside for March of 2025 for
Okay.
the west half.
Right.
Because see that, those high-risk rural roads, they're actually bid through KDOT. You go through the KDOT bidding system,
Yeah.
so they kind of set those.
I'm just trying to help, line
Right.
out our long-term, so 2024, 2025, if we would be successful in the middle section, 2024, we would still be able to handle that.
Yeah, and let's just say we turn in a cost share for the middle section, and for some reason it's awarded this year,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
timeframe.
Yeah.
It's actually gonna be KDOT's, well, we're already in there 24 FY. It would be 24 FY money from KDOT on that cost share. When we hit the spring, section,
Right?
most of the time they actually jump that forward to their next FY.
Oh.
So that money's not available until after July 1st. You gotta remember, they're on that July.
Right.
So when you go for a spring one, it's in their 2025, which still could be in your 24. But, we can also, you can also, with a cost share, you can go out up to 2 years.
Okay.
So let's just say that we get it here this time around,
Right.
but you need to wait until your FY 25 because of your own internal budgets. There's not a problem with that with the cost share. Really, all it's gonna do is prohibit you, the fact that you've got an active one right now, it's gonna be tougher to get another
Yeah,
one.
well, we
But
want to get the first one done.
Right.
As soon as possible. And then it really doesn't make any sense to do any paving on the high-risk rural roads until that's done.
Right.
So that one we can kind of set aside, concentrate on the first 3 parts. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All on the same page? Okay.
Well, I will let you know on Kansas. It's done and wide open. We got it open on that weekend, a full weekend ago.
It is very nice.
It's very nice.
The only thing that's not done is the striping. It was gonna get striped last week, but Sillison had a truck go down, so they only have one striping truck right now, and they're swamped. So I'm on notice. They're supposed to send me a text as soon as they get the parts in for that truck. So which gives me about a 2 or 3 day lead time. And they'll be here to stripe it. So otherwise, that project's done. And so far, everybody's been happy with it I've talked to. And we got very fortunate throughout that project, the timing of harvest and planting and everything.
Yeah.
Galen Ends was the only farmer that we had blocked out of a field. And it just hit perfect, so we had the rock base in when he harvested. We got it paved before he came in and drilled. So it was just absolute perfect timing, so we didn't really hold him up.
And you had pretty decent, you didn't hit this week.
No, we did not hit this
Pouring
stuff,
concrete.
thank goodness.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
it's-
we'd have been pouring in the middle of the night if we
It had
had
been
this.
setting up faster than you could pour it. Probably wouldn't come out of the truck.
Oh, it might not, even though we were only hauling half a mile at times.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but it's a very good result.
You'd think Nighthawk was a freeway.
Fortunately, it's a short stretch, so you can't get up to the high speed.
We've been getting back all the concrete test results, and the concrete you got on that is phenomenally high.
On the part that we went north 56, is that sufficient enough for a stopping area? Or
It is, well,
should there be any thought to carrying it further north? I mean,
it kind of depends what we see happening with that next section. As we had that out, I kind of took a look at that to see, that next little piece of asphalt,
you could tell where semis are coming up over the hill,
Yeah.
and then they're hitting a break, and then that just squashes out.
It's probably gonna happen, and honestly, it might happen as you keep doing it. It's like when you take an old water line, and
Yeah.
and you've got to repair a leak in it, all of a sudden it cracks another 10 feet before you can repair it, and then 10 feet. It's kind of that way with these roads. To a certain degree, it's always gonna get bad right before the concrete. I hope that the truck drivers, instead of braking in the asphalt section, just let off as they top the hill. And if they wouldn't brake until they get into the concrete, then that would minimize that. But we had that from the stop sign to where we stopped is 650 feet. So I hope that's sufficient, you know, that's.
Well, as long as they're let off, but.
That's the key, if they don't,
If
they
they're
don't
not,
start
we're
braking up top.
worse problems.
So we talked, when Bryce and I talked about that early on, that's why we picked that 600-foot mark. I mean, we did 600 foot of concrete, it's another 50 foot to the stop sign. That's why we ended up where we did, in the hopes that we would minimize asphalt problems on up the line. No, it'd be great to go another 5,000 feet.
It'd be great to go to the next mile.
That's what I mean, 5,000
All
feet.
the way to 200.
And then great to go another, 3 miles south.
Well, yeah.
Very good. Okay.
There was some comments from the church people, want to know what we was gonna do south of there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's gotta, some of that base needs reworked before spend any top on it. And that'll be another Homing deal. I mean, we gotta restructure it, build it up and make sure it holds up so it doesn't waller before you go doing anything.
Okay. We got everything covered on the cost shares?
Sure. Yeah, we'll
For
get
the
a
next
contract back for you.
Yeah, I think that's the important step that we're all.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that, and then I'll try to get, this week, I'll try to catch up with you here sometime to see if we can find some stuff on the computer about that last spring's submission.
Okay.
Like I said, if we can find all the electronic files on that one,
Okay. All right.
piece of cake.
Will we need new letters of support, or can you?
No, because they're good for 1 year. Yeah, so any letters of support you got for a spring are still valid for the fall. They're only making us redo those once per year instead of every cycle.
Good.
Yeah, KDOT realized that was a little too much to ask everybody to get those letters of support every 6 months.
Very good. All right.
So
Thank you.
So it kind of depends on the date on the letter.
All right.
But we'll take a look at those.
Take a look
see if I
at
find
them.
them.
If you need anything, let me know.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Darren. Steve?
Yeah, it's all Steve's.
He's coming back. He's on the next.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
He doesn't get to leave that easy.
No, this is part 2.
And it's hot outside. We wanted to
And then we got
make
part
sure he
3.
stayed inside a little bit.
We're trying to keep you here all afternoon, so.
Yeah.
You can blame us and the guys can't get you mad at you.
Yeah, that's do the commission again. I'd like to just let Commissioner Dalkey bring the rest of the commission up to speed. We had a meeting last week.
Okay.
Site.
All right. Received a phone call from Steve that he'd received a phone call from this gentleman, Byron, right here, about a meeting out at this location where we talked about the watershed dam and the bridge and stuff. And so after I received a phone call from Steve, I said, well, I was sitting here saying no and no, and just, I was the only one that really had seen the area and stuff like that. So I called for a chairman to come down and meet us at 9 o'clock the next morning so he could get some feel for the project and what we was doing. And
I think there's, Brian, you want to go ahead and pass this? Oh, you got them there.
We all
Sorry,
got them.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry. Okay, everybody's got it.
It's all on.
It's already there.
everybody
Yep,
has it on.
yep,
everybody
yep.
has
Sorry.
these.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
And what was presented to us, I'm gonna let somebody else tell us, but what since I mentioned the watershed, or the low water bridge, well, this gentleman had taken it and done a lot of research on the property and what we was facing, and I think personally has come up with a very good plan here of what, so.
Here are your 5 papers here.
Yes, just use that one.
I think Kent stole it.
Yeah, Ken's on it too. Okay,
So
very good.
with that then next morning Dave showed up, I showed up, and both of these, so we had, what, 4 of us there? Yeah, plus landowner Louis Unruh. And then, as we get through this project, he's gonna mention the landowner on the north side of that road, Louis is on the south side, and his name was Rip, something or another.
Boniface Riopel.
Anyway, during the meeting, yeah, there you go, it's a long one, during the meeting.
He's not local.
We said, we'll just call him, so I called and left a message, he didn't answer. But later in the day, he called me back and said he is all for this project. He was concerned about some trespassing and stuff, because the project's gonna be on the other side of his property, but he said other than that, he said it's gonna be an improvement for him and improvement for everything down there, because he uses that road, and he'd like to see that road improved a little bit, and this could do it to where it could be easily cleaned and accessible, except for when it's mud. Mud is mud, so I'm gonna turn it over to you, sir, and let you tell the rest of the commission what you did.
Okay. Well, good to meet with you again. After the last time I was here, one of the statements was made that the bridge wasn't really a good option, and so it was mentioned to have a low water crossing. And so I've been working on some stuff since then, worked with the Corps to get their opinion on whether we could still put that in as a mitigation project versus the bridge. And they thought, yes, if it was constructed properly and everything, that it would serve the same purpose, and they would allow it as part of the mitigation project. So I've been working with a couple of suppliers on some materials, and then met with both of the landowners, Mr. Unruh and Mr. Riepel, and kind of showed them the same plan as to what it would take to realign the channel to be able to put in a low water crossing on 80th Street. And so the first page you have there is kind of the aerial photo. And if you're looking at north on the top, then 13 Mile Road is on your right-hand side. So the pink line or magenta line there is the center of the current channel of Doyle Creek. And you can see from the north side there, it's comes in pretty straight, and then once it crosses the road, it makes a pretty hard 90-degree angle, and then another one shortly after that. And that's kind of what causes the problem there. The culvert kind of directs that water straight into a bank and causes a lot of erosion just downstream of the road. And then as that turns and goes against the bank of the field there, that's a really steep bank there, probably 15 to 20 feet deep there. And there's some bank stability problems. There's some sloughing off, and that's Mr. Unruh's property there. And he can attest that he has lost some crops in the last couple, 3 years where the bank has been sloughing off because of the high flows and those type of things. So to realign that channel and allow us to put in a low water crossing, the green lines would be the outline of the new channel that we're proposing. So you can see up on the north side, we come in and then head to the west a little bit, straighten out as we go through the road, because for these low water crossings to work properly, you have to have so many feet straight upstream and downstream to not cause problems with erosion and those kind of things. Then as we move further south along that channel and get into done property, I put some sinuosity into that, and that's basically to satisfy the core people and other stream type people that don't like straight stream channels. They like sinuosity. And so I mimicked somewhat of the sinuosity of that current channel until I found a stable place a ways downstream. And from there, the channel downstream is very stable. And I've looked at this. I've had another engineer that works with streams look at this, and he felt that this alignment and everything should work properly. I've looked at elevations using LiDAR data. We can get a really nice smooth grade between those locations, and and should not have any problems with erosion based on that, so. And again, this is what I presented to both the landowners. Both of them seem very in favor of it. It will take out some crop ground on Mr. Leopold, but he is willing to do that and is willing to work with the watershed district and the county on that because he sees some benefit by having the structure upstream of him and then a little better crossing for his tenant on that road downstream. So I don't want to get too technical, but the next page is a cross section, and I'll try and explain the different lines on that top graph. The solid green line is the existing road surface, and that was kind of based on the LiDAR data. I have not shot it, you know, and this is 2019 data, so it may be slightly different than this, but I would expect it to be somewhat close to that. So you can see that the low water crossing will be moved about 130 to 140 feet west of the existing culvert. And again, that's so that we can get that straight alignment of that new channel and then take care of those erosion problems downstream. And then the bottom mark there is just a blow up of what I've proposed to utilize for the crossing, and what I would propose for the benefit of the county and everybody else is that we use articulated concrete blocks as the main base of the channel area, and those blocks would be placed on a 20-to-1 slope. In other words, 20 feet or horizontal to every foot vertical. So in 40 feet, you come up to have 2 foot of depth. And then in the very bottom of that, have some cobble river rock, just to make a little smoother drive, and it also is a little better passage for the aquatic organisms. And then just as an example of what this would look like, I've been working with a supplier for the articulated concrete blocks, and he sent me a picture of one they have installed in Missouri. This is a low water crossing. As you can see, it's used quite a bit for the water, not so much for the road. So, but you can see the concrete blocks there in the foreground. And again, those would be placed on a very flat slope, and then the water would run over those. On the upstream and downstream side of that road, those blocks would be buried into the ground and covered with probably a cobble or a riprap type material to keep from eroding on upstream and downstream of the road right there. So that would be the proposal, and that's kind of what the landowners have agreed to, and what I talked with the commissioners and Steve about as we were out.
Yeah, I'm going to start with Steve. What were your thoughts on the proposal?
I mean, he's definitely done extensive research on this, and I think it'd be fine as far as a crossroad culvert or a crossroad low water crossing. I don't know, other than straightening out and eroding on his property, I don't know what really the county is going to benefit from that. I mean, yeah, and this is just a normal water flow, guys. I mean, high water flow, flood water is still going to continue to go across the road. So, that's a concern, okay? Especially since we're the ones paying for it.
Who's paying for it?
Well, it's been proposed that we pay for it.
No, you misunderstood that.
Okay.
The watershed district, if this becomes part of the mitigation project with the Corps, the watershed district will receive reimbursement funds from NRCS to cover the cost of this.
Okay.
So the only cost that the county may incur would be.
Yeah, I misunderstood you because I thought we're the ones that are going to have to go out for bids.
Is it?
We could, I mean, that's probably the next step is how do you get this installed, and there's a couple different ways to do that. But in the end, the county would be reimbursed by the watershed district, who gets reimbursed from NRCS for anything that's spent on this mitigation project.
Well, I apologize for that.
I thought you got confused. Credits.
Yeah.
Right, we get so many mitigation credits from the Corps for the, in this plan.
And those translate to dollars, or we gotta go out and earn those dollars?
It gets complicated.
Right, right, I
This
know
is
that,
where
this
we-
is the
this is
part
where we-
Steve
yeah,
is
yeah.
caught
Yeah.
up in, and
Yeah.
that's where it needs clarity.
Right.
And real clarity, not just I wanna do this project, and
Mhm.
here's some credits, because taxpayers aren't gonna accept that, you know? It's-
Right.
If we're gonna talk about dollars, we need to know,
Well,
is it really dollars?
we don't have the manpower to do it.
Right, if you'd have the manpower to do it, then what the watershed district would do was pay you so much of credit. And then you would do all of the work and whatever it took you to do, the watershed district would pay you for those
You wouldn't hire a
credits.
private contractor to do it?
If you had the manpower, that would be the easiest
We don't
way to
have the
do it.
manpower.
But you don't have the manpower, so we would look at a combination of contracting and other methods to get this installed. And that would have to be agreed upon later down the road. But the intent would be for the watershed district to make sure that the county didn't have to expend any of their own funds into this. I mean, that would be the goal, because the watershed district gets reimbursed for all of the mitigation costs on this side.
But the county has cost up front, and then we get reimbursed later.
Possibly, yes, depending on how it's installed and those type of things, yes.
So, I mean, that could be pretty significant.
So, the other thing is I'm looking at this and thinking, geez, that's a lot of work. Is that the way it's gotta be? Does it have to be these blocks? Does it have, or can it be a traditional low water crossing? Poured concrete?
Because of
Break done.
this is part of the mitigation project with the Corps, they wanna see something that's gonna be long-term, and that's also not gonna tend to undermine like concrete does. And so, they would rather see this than the concrete. And when you're talking cost, these are probably cheaper in the long run
Yeah.
than poured concrete.
Well, it
Looks like
I'm
they
assuming
come
you
in-
gotta stack
looks
them in
like
there like bricks.
Do they come in and fill all the holes with concrete?
They are cabled together,
Okay.
so they come in mats.
Oh, so the mat drops out.
Yeah, so the mats, there'll be 3 or 4 mats. They'll fill up the inside with crushed gravel and it'll be done basically.
The only thing is, we have to remember is, we're gonna take care of this after the project's done.
Maintenance.
That, you know, versus what we take care of today.
Yeah.
And so that's one, that's a concern of ours, is what we're gonna take care of afterwards this project is done. It'll be easier for brush to go over this instead of through a tube and blocking the tube. That's a benefit. The other thing is that we hope that there's, because like I said, down there talking to them, we're all used to the concrete ones that we see that was done in the 60s and 70s, and there's split in half, and the concrete ones do that. So I don't know what the lifespan of this is, but
As long as you don't hit it with things too hard, it probably is long time.
So where's this road go to, or come from?
it just comes off of Indigo's right here, just goes up a mile of dirt all onto the west, just a through road. Nobody lives on that road.
But they want the watershed mitigation stuff to.
The landowner on the north side and the landowner sitting here
Need it for
uses
farming.
it to remove the crops and stuff
Yeah.
like that, yes. The only thing since our meeting that I was considering asking the commission was, what do we set a value of dollars we would spend? You know, we spend some dollars value maintaining that road, period, and forever. That there is a 5-foot culvert up here to the west of what the new location would be, where the old channel is, and he asked if we would put in a 2 or 3 foot culvert back there for overflow from this. It would go through here, and then when it gets back over to there, it would still have an overflow that would go back through underneath the road, like you see in other places they put extra culverts in for overflow.
Before the fall.
Before, yeah, so that's the only, that would, I said, I thought our people could take care of that culvert and keep that off the project. But how much dollars and cents would we be willing to put up for just what we would consider as a maximum, what I'm saying? And that would be for this project to happen. So that's something that we would have to
There we
determine.
go, without having a cost estimate. Is there any cost estimate out there?
Not yet, no.
I just, do you have time for it?
Huh?
You have time for it?
Not for us to do.
No, and that was the discussion. that we
That's-
had.
that's my main
It would-
thing.
It would be contracted out.
Contract.
I mean,
So we're gonna contract it, so that's a whole
We
nother
don't have
level of cost.
Don't have enough help.
Yeah, we will not be doing it ourselves.
And the contract that they would be doing is that wide line that you see, the new channel bed.
The channel.
Yeah, the new channel.
So
That would
they-
be the contract part.
The contract would be all the way back up on the private property each way, not just our road.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be
Brian
the
wants to clarify.
best way to do it is do everything all at once,
Okay.
rather than piecemeal it. I mean, you could piecemeal it if you guys wanted to do this or that. You could piecemeal whatever you want, but typically you get a better job and a better bid if you tie it all together and you get somebody that's experienced in both laying these mats and doing the excavation work.
And one of the key things which we talked about out there was that on the low water crossings, you want level coming in and level going out. The ones we see washed out, they go across the low water crossing and drop. Well, then you have erosion.
You
And
have
that's
6
part of
feet
what
of
the design here is to have, so the water
It's even.
evens. That way you do not have.
Rushing current.
That way down the road, there's not the county constantly having to come in and fill in. And the other part of our discussion was looking at maintenance long-term. Okay, we've got maintenance on it now. When we get high water, we've got cleanup, brush, culvert cleanouts, cleaning, there's maintenance on it now. And our Commissioner Dalkin, my question in looking at this proposal is, will our maintenance be less down the road? Will that low water crossing be a benefit down the road for maintenance? That's a question.
It will not help the landowners until it's dry, because as you've seen the picture that I took, that from this area on is still dirt. There will be a lot of dirt probably come out of this channel widening and opening up that some of it we could, according to Sharon, we may be able to build our road up a foot on that outside,
Well,
maybe
it's
without
gonna
bothering.
have to be to follow this.
Yeah.
When you can see where the existing road is, you're gonna have to come up 3 feet or so.
Well, that's just a first proposal. If we want to stay without getting a permit, we would stay at that foot or less.
Yeah.
If you went the full 3 feet, you could get rid of most of the material that's coming out. But Steve indicated you may have other places to go with material as well, so.
I'd have other places to go with material, never.
And that could be part of the county funds is they transport material, as part of their deal and get reimbursed for that.
And
so.
you have to use an entity like a county in order to cash in the credits, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about. That's the reason why you can't just go get a contractor and handle it.
No, we could get a contractor, but because it's the county road right away, you really need to be involved.
Yeah.
Whether it's in cooperation or something like that, I guess unless you specifically authorize the district to come in and just do it all, I would think that the county would want to be involved because it's your road right away. You have that 50-foot easement in that area.
So we could send Randy out to supervise them.
Thank you, David. Well, it's one of the deals that, I think we do have to take care of the landowners too, and other people, tax entities, that we have to watch out for both entities here, so. Are we gonna gain something after it's done? Yeah, a little bit to maintenance wise and not that, but nobody's going down there when it's mud. I mean, when it's wet, it's wet.
Yeah, there's no sense being out there.
Yeah.
Just wreck the road.
Wreck the roads and stuff like that, so. And sort of, I don't know if you wanna see a picture of the bridge right here, and I guess we go back to the original, but I don't wanna see a picture of the bridge. I mean,
That looks nice.
just, and I think this is, so the landowners can get through, just like now, there's no water flowing anywhere. But sometimes it should have, probably does have, most of the time have a foot of water going through it, or 6 inches, or something like that. I don't know.
I was thinking about that. I think that creek maybe might run half-time, 6 months, or, you know, out of a year.
Yeah.
Couple years, maybe is only like 2 years back about when the creek was running last, that it had washed out on the west side of that culvert down to within about, as soon as the creek came up 6 inches, there was about 6 inches of water running through the tube, and the rest of the water was running about 20 feet west. And that year we had to grain cart our grain out to the 13-mile road to load our trucks. We couldn't get a truck down to the field.
Yeah, it's washed, yeah.
And so the alternative, there's gonna be some maintenance on that culvert if this project doesn't go for some reason.
Right.
You know, there will be some money spent in that area anyway.
Appears to me that to put in that new channel is a pretty big operation. I mean, it goes right through a forest. How many hundred trees has to come out?
It's,
Lots, it looks to me like.
on the south side, there's quite a few, but I don't know, what's the width? Did you say 60 to 80 foot total removal of trees?
Oh, it won't be quite that much. I mean, the channel itself is gonna be 12 to 14 foot wide with 3-to-1 slope, so you're probably 50 feet of the channel itself.
Okay.
As part of this mitigation project, the Corps is gonna require riparian habitat on both sides anyway, and so we'll probably limit it to whatever's needed as far as getting rid of trees and that type of thing. On the north side, probably you're gonna have to put in some grass to account for that in the
Oh, in his
cropland.
field, croplands, okay.
I'm still confused on these credits.
Right.
I mean, to me, at first blush, it looks like we pay and then we wait for the money to come.
Okay, and I'm
So,
gonna put it back into.
We don't know how much money that is. Is that $500,000?
Well, I do have a projected cost on the installation of this whole project, and
I mean,
I've got it from the
we haven't
supplier.
budgeted for anything like that, so
Right.
how could we do that?
And so we'd be looking at about 80,000 for the total installation in the new channel cost.
That's all?
Yeah,
Now that includes the blocks.
the
water
blocks,
crossing,
installation,
road.
yeah,
and-
everything.
That
Just-
channel cleanup?
Yeah,
That's awful cheap.
D9 does quick work with them trees.
Yeah, but D9's $580 an hour.
I mean, that's based on my best information as far as local projects and what the supplier told me it would cost to
Is
install.
that a half mile or mile channel?
No, there's about 800 feet of channel is all.
Okay.
So it's,
And how much-
I mean, there's about 3,000 cubic yards of material to come
How
out.
much would you expect to get as far as credits, and then what are those credits worth?
So the credits that would be for this project are in the neighborhood of 10,000 credits, give or take a few credits.
What's a credit worth?
On the open market, if you can find them, $45 to $50 a credit. Because
On the open market, if you can find them.
Yeah.
So you have to market them?
Somebody buy them
No, no.
for 45 or?
if you're wanting to install something and you need credits, you can go out on the open market and buy them from people that have already done this kind of work and have put the money into it, and then they sell you the credit. And so,
So we'll have to sell credits?
no, the credits, you guys don't have to worry
This is where
about
it
the
gets so
credits at
confusing.
all. The credits are part of the mitigation plan that the watershed district has to put together.
Okay, so then the watershed district's gonna pay the 80 grand and keep the credits.
Right. I mean, that would be the way it would happen, whether it goes through the county or they do a contract by themselves. They would get the credits for getting the installation done. And then, so then they don't have to go out on the open market and pay $45 a credit for those 10,000 credits. They work with you guys to obtain these credits through a cooperative agreement type of thing.
It's cheaper to pay the county
Right.
with the mitigation than to buy the
And then they keep the credits, which are worth more.
Now, what's the turnaround on that? Say we go out there and get it taken care of, there's costs $80,000 or $90,000. How long is it gonna take to get us the money?
The watershed district would be the reimbursing party, and so it would just be up to them when.
I mean, it would have to be immediate. It wouldn't be, net 120 days.
Well, it'd be a matter of I'm assuming a paperwork process.
Yeah, I mean, and that could be agreed upon when you do this, resolution. I mean, I guess those kind of things down the road, we can agree upon before you even go into contract. You say, okay, how are we gonna get reimbursed?
Mm-hmm.
That type of thing. You can have that kind of agreement up front. What the district needs right now to move forward with this project is to know that the county's agreeable to allowing them to install this so that they can put it into their mitigation plan to get their permits to get this project moving. Once they get their permit with the Corps, which is part of this mitigation plan is part of that application with the Corps of Engineers, then they can start spending money on this mitigation stuff. They don't have to wait until the watershed dam is in place before they can spend money on the mitigation stuff.
Okay, so there's an intermediate process where they can get the mitigate or get some of the funds, so that then when it comes to the point where we actually send the project out, project's completed, the bill comes for the project, then it would be a fairly quick turnaround.
Yes, it should be.
Okay, that goes to your question. I mean, I was trying to follow that process. I don't know.
It's confusing to me.
Yeah.
Normal contract is.
What was the total price again?
Around 80,000 is my best guess right now, so. And again,
Didn't know we do anything for 80,000.
Well, that's, in my not understanding the process with the credits and all of that. So I said.
It's a cheap process.
Yeah, the 80,000 is not too bad of a number. I just think that we need to be responsible enough to say, no matter what, we're gonna spend so much money. No matter what, unless we're going to back X amount on a bid or something like that, by the watershed board or something.
We just got enough credits to pay for the whole thing.
Yeah, right, and I agree.
Supposedly.
well, yeah, this 10,000 will get us about 2/3 of the way there for what we need credit-wise. So the district still has to go out and get other credits as well. But this will go a long ways for keeping us within budget on those credits and provide a little better road down the road. So.
Be the county's responsibility to, if we'd have to hire it out. So it's our responsibility to bid it out.
It's however the commission wants to do it. I mean, if you want to authorize the watershed district to do that, they could do it as well.
That's what I.
Yeah, but if it's county responsibility, and I don't think we do that.
But we're responsible
I
for
think
the
you have
bill.
to, I think we have to do it.
Because they might accept it.
That's a whole different entity.
We have to do the road part for sure. Upstream, downstream would be something
Roads,
else.
of course, no big deal.
Because I'm no attorney, so.
I mean, that's where our
First look.
right of way is the road.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, they could accept the bid for 100,000. We'd be responsible for it. they accepted the bid, or we said we would do the project.
Attorney's gonna have
We
to make that
blessed,
very
we
clear.
blessed it, does that make us pay for it too? Does
Again,
that
it's
make
all
sense?
in how, you can authorize the district to do the contracting, or you can do the contracting yourself. I think my guess is you do contracts on other road work too, don't you? I mean, milling and those kind of things, you're not
The
doing that.
funding then comes right from the county, so we know we have our budget and we have our funds.
Yeah.
Have the control, I think that's where we'll get it, the responsibility of the taxpayers of knowing
What we're responsible for.
the reimbursement.
We got money in the bank right now to do that project before we do it.
But I think that's where your resolution, you can spell out in your resolution to say, okay, who's responsible for the different types of things, types of work and those types of things.
I'm gonna turn to Tina for some advice. There's this type of project, do you have recommendation, input? No.
I think legal counsel would have to review this resolution
Right.
before we could do any action.
It sounds like a doable project.
And I think that's what the district would like right now is you just take these two pieces of information, the mitigation project.
Okay.
And that's the one that goes in your files that the Corps wants to know that you're gonna keep the maintenance upkeep down the road. That's their biggest issue. They're gonna look at the drawings and everything else in the plan and approve that as well for the mitigation project. The other thing is, again, this resolution, it kind of, what I tried to do is spell out what each party was responsible for, why it was needed. But again, if you want to include more things, as far as the contracting and those kind of things, I believe the watershed district will work with the county with whatever's needed to make sure it's agreeable to both parties into the future. I mean, because you've agreed to do this, they're gonna be agreeable to you so that because it's in their plan, they're gonna be agreeable with you to get it done, whatever it takes.
Just to shift gears a little bit, then we can absorb all the information. Sharon, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Do you have any issues or comments you'd like to provide?
Sure. We'll definitely need local permits for this channel change and for the dam itself, which you're aware of. I have some concerns about the inundation area of the dam in general. I think that we need to have like shape files that our GIS map can have for a layer so we can see where those areas are at. And I think that there should be something, like we'll need copies of letters to property owners that notify them that they'll be in an inundation area. And that letter or some sort of restrictive covenant or something needs to be filed with the Register of Deeds so that moving forward, if that land transfers, whoever buys it knows that, building may be prohibited in that area. And that the watershed district, will this be owned by the watershed district, the dam?
No.
It'll be private property?
It's still on private property, yes.
So that property owner could be responsible for, have other responsibilities should structures be built below the dam in the inundation area, or if there's a greater increase in traffic that could cause it to become a high hazard dam. So I think the property owners need to be aware of that.
Do you happen to know offhand how many landowners there are behind, upstream in the inundation area?
Okay, talking
I know
two different
we're
things.
in a whole different
Well,
topic.
downstream from the.
Yeah, what she's talking about is the downstream
Oh, okay.
inundation area in case of the
Okay,
the
so
dam
right.
would break.
Right, right.
Where would it flood?
Right.
Most of that's gonna be on Mr. Riepel and Mr. Unruh,
Okay.
down to 108th Street. No, what's the one? 96th Street.
Yeah, ours goes 2 miles.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it does go further down there, and I'm not sure who's the landowner
Right, right.
south of
Okay.
96th Street in, Harvey County, but,
Okay.
we can work with the local planning and zoning, and I would love to work with them to get them the maps that's needed, and so that we can make sure that in the
Okay.
future, any construction that's in that area doesn't affect that hazard class of that structure, so that, because the watershed district, in the eyes of DWR, the owner of the structure,
Right.
even though it's on private land, so the watershed district would be responsible
Right.
for any upgrades or this kind of thing, so.
Okay.
Also, oh, go ahead, sorry, Randy.
Go ahead. You got no question, go right ahead.
I was just wondering if you were talking about sending that work out for bids, if the county's piece of it could be submitted as an alternative within the whole scope, and then the county has the opportunity to select the bidder on that piece of it, maybe? Or reject it, whatever. It's probably a Brad question.
Yeah. Yeah, like you had said, you have the economies of putting it into one project, but at the same time, we kind of have two interests there. We have the county interest for just the road, and then you have the water district interest for there's, like Sharon said, if there's a way of somehow still putting it together, but having two entities involved.
And that would probably be fine. Really, the biggest cost is the road because of the block.
Sure.
I mean, that's the biggest cost of it. The channel work upstream and downstream, it's an excavator job that if the county could move the material away, it would really be pretty reasonable, so. Yeah, I do not see any problem with that type of thing. And again, working with the county, with the watershed district, I do not see a problem with that type of thing.
And the county will need to have, either be named on the permit or have our own permit for that portion of road for that channel change?
Yeah, and I believe DWR would like to see it all in one, so
Okay.
whether the county and district, or I'll have to check with them to see who gets named on the permit, but yeah, it will be probably a combination ownership type of thing.
Okay, any other?
Final statement is that I believe we've improved what we start from where we started. I would advise, as of right now, I would like to sign to just give them the okay that we're willing to work towards completing this project. But since we do not know money, how that's going to be handled, that would be definite, but that to be worked out later.
I think we need the legal counsel to review and then set this, set the conditions of whether it's so many dollars per credit received or a number not less than within the contract, and then we can proceed forward.
Anything to move forward.
And then the resolution, it references a memorandum of understanding. I think that's what you guys are all talking about. That before you would do the resolution, you would potentially, well, it just says that you shall enter a memorandum of understanding. That means that you're gonna have to come up with an agreement as a condition.
Well, our counselor isn't here today.
Okay.
But, we will assign it, refer all the information to him, and give him your contact information.
All right. And I think that's
good advice to go.
really what the district would like
Right.
to see, is if that you're willing to move forward and that we can agree on how to tie the bows and.
Yeah, we've identified some questions need to be answered. But I think, like Commissioner Dalkey said, we're quite a ways different than where we started.
Yeah.
We come quite a ways, and let's see where we can go from here.
Does anybody I'm just asking right out front, does anybody have any definite no's against going forward to look at that part of it.
We've got a great plan, really, I mean,
Except
sounds
for-
too simple.
Except for seeing what kind of dollars is involved to us and stuff like that. That's-
The only person that get me to go a definite no is if he told me that it was a bad idea.
Oh, yeah. Let's go with it. All right, any other questions? If not, thank you, Steve, and thank you, Brian.
Okay, I'll see you this evening at 7 o'clock at your meeting.
Lutheran Church, right?
Yeah. Steve, you don't have to be there.
All right, thank you.
They got a road that needs worked on.
There's gonna be emergency call at 6:15.
They need some pea gravel spread in a few places.
Sure.
Start talking government without any dollar signs and credits, big red flag.
Well, that's what the contract needs to come into play. So whatever credit they receive, so say
But they got 10,000 credits.
10,000 credits, but they may,
$45 a credit.
but they may get 6,000, right? You never know how that's gonna shake out. So you set a dollar amount of credit that they owe us, and then it's or at least this value. So if they get more credits, then we get more value, and if they don't get enough credits, we still get that baseline.
You just give us a letter of credit withdrawn, and then we'll figure it
But
out.
that's $500,000.
Yeah, they talked
Which is
for-
fine. They
well,
gotta
we
pay
were
for
out
a
there
project
for
downstream.
an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I still never fully understood it. Anyway.
It's got something to do with, you can't transfer money, and this is how the credits allow them.
That's why I don't have crypto coin.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like that. It kind of allows them to play on a different field.
All right, we'll bring that discussion to a conclusion and move forward.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. Do we have Brad available by phone?
I do not see him on the meeting.
Okay.
That was what
He
I
did
was told
send
that he
a
might.
text that he would be, most of his today was related to the lake leases, docks, removal of parked vehicle, which would be open session, but he's unable to get on. I guess he's worried just with.
Don't we have some administrative finish?
Right, but did we have anything with Brad?
The lake stuff can wait to make season's over with.
Isaac's gone for the, already. He'll be back next weekend, or next week.
Right.
I think we get caught up in board.
So, just no Brad today?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're asking me.
I'm asking if we have any executive sessions where we need county councilor. We could call him in on just a.
I mean, I personally don't.
Okay.
I don't know about any of you.
I'm trying to think if I missed anything.
There's the one executive, so he's trying to make sure that.
Right, and that was with EMS.
We don't need him for that, for the personnel performance.
Right. I think the other one, that was the way to week. All right, we'll move back to administrative, handle Tina's executives, which do not require a return. So let's wrap up administrative first.
Okay, that sounds good.
Finally, we got a plan. I'll text
I'm
Brad.
sorry if I seem a little not tracking with you.
Well, it's because I do not speak clearly and I understand.
The heat is hot outside.
It is hot. Okay, so one thing had been brought up about potentially removing the public comment period at the end of the regular meetings, because generally people have been doing their comments at the beginning, and so I did research that, actually not personally, but one of my staff people had the privilege of researching that. And that was actually put on by a commission vote. So if you want to remove the public comment at the end, it would be by commission vote to remove it, so.
Can we change it to the chairman decision? Because each chairman has a different perspective
Right, the next chairman could do a whole.
You could decide to have public at the front and back. The
Right.
next chairman may not want any public.
Well, then we go to just wait, because I got caught up in, as I tell somebody they can come in and we don't have it. Because
We always have it at the beginning.
We've always had it, ever since we asked and voted on it, we've had it at the beginning and the end.
But have we ever had any comments at the end?
Or- yeah, or
Not
most
very
of-
many.
Not
I
very
mean,
many.
like at the very beginning when we first started doing that,
Yeah.
because we used to always do it at the end.
Yeah, make-
Only.
Yes.
And it was also morning meetings.
Yeah, that would be, the thing is
So
now.
people would come rushing in the morning and not be here in time, and then
Right.
they'd catch the second.
Well, if it's at the end, like today, our agenda with, well, okay, so public comment be 2:45, well, we're going right past that.
Just for the end of meeting.
You
That's,
never
that's sort of the way they do it anywhere else, is the end of meeting and,
Yeah, the point was like Dave said, they come in, they get it done, and they're not sitting here around here
Right,
waiting
right,
for,
right.
We waste all
because
day.
we're always running over.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm the one that brought it up for Tina. I've just asked for commission consensus on that.
Nobody's ever using it. I don't know what hurt, what harmed, and there's nobody in the room, and we move on.
Well, the other thing is, I try to run with the executives at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
We come out of the executive session, no decisions made. If there's nothing else, then it's
Yeah.
hard for people to follow that online, because you have to enter and exit the meeting. Because I got chewed out because they said I exited the meeting too quick. Well, I'm not gonna sit here after we come out of executive session if there's no business to conduct and wait. The opportunity is at the beginning of the meeting.
The chairman would have the option to do before executive session. Want to.
Then it's hard for people to know.
Yeah.
yeah, it's gotta be one way or the other.
We're just sitting there watching the meeting.
Yeah.
And then-
They can comment on.
And then also, when
Chat log.
when you get logged out of the meeting, because they went to executive, anybody that's played on this enough knows that you just log back in, and as soon as she livens the meeting up, you're there. So if they're, okay, at 2:15, I'm gonna log back in, they're out of the loop.
Yeah.
You gotta log right back and just wait for the
Because you're set with
And
it.
sometimes they have technical difficulties to
Yes.
get coming back up as well.
That's if
But
everything
still-
works great.
But still, it comes back up.
I guess.
And if they have something really important to say, they'll be here.
Okay, I guess what I'm hearing is let's just leave things the way they are.
Leave them the way they are.
And if there
I'm in
are
favor of
comments,
that.
we'll take them. If there's not, okay, all right, very good.
May the best man win.
Well, all I know is when you didn't allow people to have comment, well, I mean, you always did, but they felt like they weren't. Things got elevated quicker. Give them a chance to speak, it doesn't blow up.
Right, very good point. Got to do like at the beginning, it is a set time.
Yeah.
They know if they're here online at 12:30, they have their chance.
Yeah.
And then they can move on.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll leave things the way they are.
Okay,
Thank you, Tina, though, I think it was still good to get that information.
yes.
The person who assigned it to.
Now
tell them thank
I
you.
will tell them thank you.
Yes.
And I'll try to remember that for the next time you ask.
It'll be in about
And when
4
was that
months,
voted on?
5 months.
What's that?
When was that voted?
The la-
2020?
Yeah, January 21st, 2020.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus, we were in COVID time,
Yep.
so.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let's see. I put on the table the updated draft of the position, advertisement from John Deerdoff. You see at the bottom, the yellow salary range on that. That's what he was recommending. And then also, he said he was having a little bit of trouble finding any like-size counties with administrators to come up with a price range. But he talked to some larger ones, and he felt like that 100,000 to 120,000 is a good starting range if the board is okay with that. Then later, he sent the salary survey, basically which I gave to you as a separate sheet for some of the larger counties.
Yes.
Or closer proximity, some of them,
A lot of times bigger than that green.
of what they're paying, so. Really, he was wanting some feedback, I think, as far as whether you're okay to move
Yeah.
forward with that salary range at this time that he has listed on.
It's a late night.
Yeah.
Yes, it wasn't.
Well, some of the other ones that I've talked to at KC, that are our size or smaller, they also don't have them maybe as administrator. They call them an administrator, but they're kind of like somebody that came up in finance and then kind of see the day-to-day operations. But they're still their administrator when they talk about them.
Staying in the salary range that we're at.
So position advertisement, any other changes that you want to make?
I didn't understand Commissioner Becker's comment.
I said I'm comfortable staying in the salary range that we have listed here.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Or we could lower it.
Well, that's what I wasn't understanding,
Oh.
where we're at, because we aren't anywhere.
Well,
We
no,
don't
but
have a
what's
range.
posted
What
on
he
our.
has kind of
His
referenced.
recommendation.
That was his recommendation.
Right.
Okay,
Stay with the recommendation.
okay, thank you.
We are having communications
Oh.
issues today.
We
Goodness.
hired them to help us go through this.
So then we also have a community kind of this page. I was hoping that maybe you would look through that, see what kind of feedback you have. There are some things that we're gonna have them correct that are not, I don't know what all these pictures are of. I don't know if all of those are even Marion County, so that would be one thing. I would wanna make sure we only use
Let's see, we've got some better pictures than that.
from Marion County.
One on the back pages and then we'll see the point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just a mile out.
and then
Let's
I
see,
don't
that
know
one
what
Cedar
that
Point,
building
isn't it?
is on the
Yep.
right,
It's a
on
mile.
the
That's where I hung out
second
as a
page.
kid.
Hopefully this was just an example and then we plug in our own pictures.
Do you have certain things you would want pictures of? And then
What's
do you have
the-
certain things that you wanna promote about the county? Because this
What's
is
that?
very
What's that?
generic.
I don't know where that is.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying, we don't know what that
Oh,
is.
okay.
I'll make sure that, so what do you want pictures of in here? What things do you think are?
Courthouse, obviously.
We should
Courthouse,
promote.
It's on there.
Courthouse, the lake,
Both lakes, or one or the other, both.
that kiosk is all right.
Yeah, Santa Fe Trail.
See the other trail?
The other trail's the Chisholm Trail. He's got those both listed.
Is that one a wheat field? Or is that?
Yeah, there's a field.
Can't tell if it's a wheat
I'm
field
just
or it's
bad.
Stuck on the pictures.
I'm very disappointed in the pictures. We've got way better pictures now.
So do you wanna identify some and provide them?
How
How
about,
do we
where's
wanna
that
do
bird?
that?
commissioners submit them?
I don't know.
The lakes,
I don't recognize it. I've never seen it.
fields,
Pictures of
I've
both
seen that
lakes.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
No,
Just
I
out there,
don't
That's kinda close.
and the courthouse.
Same idea.
Cattle.
Yeah, that's
Kittens.
what-
So if somebody is
Okay.
into outdoor stuff,
So being used.
it's a job for you.
It is.
Well,
It's
as far as the
awesome.
promotion, where we have attractions and economy and arts and culture, I mean, there's just, it basically lists the museum in Marion and the Hardy House Museum. I mean, we have a ton of cultural
Yeah.
attractions.
I mean, would you take a picture of the John Deere dealership, something like that? With all the equipment?
No,
Okay.
can't advertise for working for a private. For profit.
Oh, there I see the Cottonwood Crossing. Yeah, yes, yes. That should stay.
That's up there.
Yeah. I was saying Santa Fe Trail, that's.
Bye.
But I didn't know if there are other things that you wanna
How
promote
about a picture
about,
of
like,
the reservoir, a picture of the dam or something like that, or two dams, I don't know, so,
Yeah.
or water.
also, there's a lot of hunting and, what kind of recreational opportunities that we have here.
Find somebody's picture with a big buck.
We do have some of the biggest bucks. You can go to other states and they got these little
Marion
baskets.
County,
What?
or they come to Marion County for the big bucks. That's
We
very
have a picture of a buck.
Okay.
Let's bring it back. And
Get
get Jamie
their
to bring,
attention.
get Jamie.
I heard she said something else.
Get Jamie to bring that one in.
All right,
Biggest
commissioners,
ones there.
make your
Marion
list.
County.
Make your list or suggestions and send them to Tina.
And she'll assign it to a staff person to send to. And actually, I thought your description you sent was better than here, I guess.
Yeah, he said, feel free to spice it up,
Okay.
so I guess that's on us.
Yeah, okay. Let's send Tina your suggestions. We're not gonna get them all here in 5 minutes, so we're
Okay.
talking.
So if you could send them to me,
Yes.
like, by Wednesday at 5, that'd be good. Is that possible?
Yeah, and if you have a picture.
That's what I'm thinking, I was like, how much ground am I gonna cover to get pictures?
Or if you have an idea and it's something that you think you can get to me later, that's fine too. I mean, I just don't wanna stall out at this stage.
Right.
I mean, the other day, I put on 500 miles, I never left the east side of Marion County.
Wow. Oh, just that side?
Yeah.
Wow.
I never even went on the west side.
But I know the county has great pictures of the lakes. They're there.
And if you don't pay your taxes, we'll sell your property.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, what else?
This resolution
Ah.
that Sharon has
Yeah.
asked for legal review of that,
Yes.
so I don't believe we'll be doing that today.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay, very good.
That was for the text amendments,
Text
and I put
amendments.
that on the table there for you. So that might be
Okay.
next week.
Okay.
And then, the only thing I have were the
Two executives.
2 executives.
Okay, the first one for personal performance, how long?
Probably 10 minutes. Or,
I will be out of here 3:20 probably, because I've got a meeting inside Mr.
Oh.
Gance's office at
Okay.
CBDO.
Which one's more important, personal performance or the hiring? Or the,
You do one short.
the hiring one could potentially be very short. I mean, it doesn't,
okay.
but the other one's probably more important.
Let's do the personal performance then in 10 minutes. I move we recess for executive session in order to discuss personnel performance of an individual pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. First, item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance with commission in 10 minutes, from 3:08 to 3:18.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries 5-0. Back. Drive safe and keep the air conditioner going.
Yeah, keep the air conditioner going.
Yeah. It's only about
The
110.
conference will now be recorded.
Only.
All right, we are out of executive session, no decisions made.
He made it.
The next one was for hiring,
Yes,
and how long?
maybe 5 minutes.
Okay. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss hiring pursuant to KSA 75-4319B.
So it'd be number 1.
Number 1, personnel matters, with the commission of Tina for 5 minutes, 3:20 to 3:25.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 4-0. Back at 3:25.
There was another folder. Travel. Keep losing them.
This conference will now be recorded.
Out of executive session, no decisions made. We are at the end of the agenda, public forum. No one in the room. If you're online, type in your name and address.
Nobody else.
So if there's anyone online that wants to make a public comment, please type your name and address so that you can be recognized by the chairman.
Okay, not seeing
Seeing
any
anything.
commission comments? If not, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 4-0. We are adjourned 3:27. Thank you.